Welcome back to Mel's Board Game Room. Me and Travis are doing our top 100 when we are on 40 to 31.
Oh, we are.
So we're in the really good stuff. I gotta say, last episode we did, I was like giddy with the excitement of talking with these games. They're so good now.
Oh, it's flying high on the way home, like just excited the whole way home. Yeah.
So before we get into that, though, I want to mention that we do have a sponsor, Games and Couples, with Oshrat Online Counseling Services. And they do couple counseling utilizing the principle of the Gottman method, couples therapy. And what they've discovered is that playing board games, specifically co-op board games even more so, is a really good way to put these principles into practice. So they utilize a lot of board games in their counseling session, and I think that is just amazing.
Sure.
It just provides such great quality time and a nice neutral way of kind of coming together. So that's great. Be sure to check them out. We'll have their links below. And let's get started with our top 40.
Wow, top 40. So my number 40 is a game that we bought a long time ago because it plays 6 players. And it plays fairly quick.
Yeah.
And it's not too confrontational. There's a little bit of confrontation, and it's a race game, and it's set on an island or around an island.
Yes.
Do you have any idea?
Yes, because we just saw it. I had to fix it. I did a typo. So this is our third try.
So don't try not to be too surprised, Mel.
Okay.
But my number 40 is Jamaica.
Do you know I got this game? I won it. On our Family Plays game, they were having their anniversary giveaway.
Okay.
And I won this game from them and the expansion.
Nice.
I know.
Nice. Now, I've never played the expansion at all.
It has a cool little rum bottle.
No.
Oh my God.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's better. So in Jamaica, what it is it's sort of a race game. So the race is really just to end the game. Whoever gets to the finish line first has a better chance of winning. But what you're doing is you are traveling around the island of Jamaica, and you're pirates. So everybody's got their own little pirate ship, and they've got a little hold in front of them with 5 spaces, yeah. Mm-hmm. And each of those spaces can hold some supplies. And the way the game's going to work is you have a little hand of panoramic cards, or a deck of them. I think there's 9 per player or something like that. And you're going to draw 3. And then on the top corners of those, there's going to be a daytime action and a nighttime action. So whoever the start player is going to roll the dice, and you're going to put them in the center of the board there. And one of the sides is the daytime action, one of the sides is the nighttime action. Then everybody will reveal their card, and they'll do what it says. So your card might say, gain resources. So if there's a 6 on the daytime, you would gain 6 food. Or it might say, get some treasure. And so you might get 3 treasure, and you just fill up your hold and you travel around the board because one of the options is to move. So if you have the move icon and your die is 5, you move 5 spaces, just pretty easy. But any space that you land on is going to have some kind of a cost. Mm-hmm. So if you land right up against a port, you're going to have to pay 3 gold because you're stopping in the port. Or if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you might have to pay 3 food. You can also get gunpowder. So if you land on the space with somebody else, you're the attacking player. So you're going to try to loot their boat. And you're not going to sink it or anything like that, but you can steal their goods. So what you'll do is there's an attack die, and you'll decide how much gunpowder you would like to use. So the gunpowder is used as a modifier to modify your die roll. And you roll an attack, and one of the sides is an explosion on the dice. And if you get that, you just automatically win.
Nice.
So you have a 1 in 6 chance as the attacker to just win right away. And if you do win, you just loot one of the other people's holds. And if your hold is ever full and you gain more resources, you have to choose one of your holds to dump.
Yeah.
So just get rid of it. So yeah, and then you just race around the board, and depending on where you finish when somebody triggers the end game is how many extra points you'll get. So you want to make sure that you're keeping up with the group so that you can score some end game points just for your location. Because if you're far enough back, you just lose 5 points. And, it's just, I don't know. It's a wonderful game. Super simple. Now, I've never played the crew, which is the expansion. So I'm assuming it adds like individual people.
I haven't played it yet, but I was just, when I was unboxing it, the I don't know, it has a little rum bottle thing, and it looks so good.
Well, I'm not surprised that you haven't played the expansion.
I'm not huge on expansion, am I?
No,
I'm not just, you know what the thing is, I'm just not big on getting a game to the table a lot.
Yeah.
Just that's the drawback of having such a large collection.
Yeah. No.
And I have played Jamaica once or twice, I think now.
Okay.
And, I'll play the base game before I even bothered trying to add an expansion.
Sure.
But it was cool. Like it plays fairly quick.
Yeah, I think like half an hour maybe. Like if you played with a full complement and everybody kind of took their time thinking, it would take you about an hour.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of the really neat things that I found about the game is the 9 cards that everybody has. They're all the same, but you can actually lay them out in a line and they become a panoramic photo.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, so they all connect. So it takes a little bit of...
That's the second game you mentioned that does that, and I didn't know. I know that, what is it? I'm going to regret that now. Hold on. Lost Cities does that. When you put them all
I
together.
didn't know that Lost Cities did that. Okay. Nice. Yeah.
But that's kind of a neat attention to details, though,
for
right?
sure. Just a little clever bonus. Like it probably doesn't, like, I mean, you're still just drawing the same number of pictures, so why not make them look the same and have that little secret bonus? It's like the secret card under the box.
That's right. So a little Easter egg.
I like these little Easter eggs. I'm a big fan of it. So
nice.
But yeah, so that's my number 40, the 40th best game of all time. Jamaica.
Yeah, no, Jamaica's great. Perfect. So my number 40. Okay, so caveat, we actually talked about this one. When I put this one on my list, I had just finished playing this and I was so impressed with it. And now looking back, I feel like it probably should have been added on together with another game, but it's its own game, so be it. And this is the Castle of Tuscany. So after Christmas, we had a game day at Carla's and we ended up playing this one. And this one reminds me a lot of the Castle Burgundy. But to look at it, it doesn't look like it. But you have these 3 tiles that you kind of create your map and you can put them whichever way you want. You kind of decide how you're going to set that up to begin with. And that's your map, like in Castle of Burgundy.
Sure. Yeah.
And you're going to be doing these actions, but then some of them you can kind of build up so they're a little bit more, like you could do a little bit more with them if you've built them up a little bit. But it was a much more compact game. The end result of what you're trying to accomplish was very similar, where you're trying to get, if you get like all of one color, then you've kind of built that cluster, then you can claim the bonus for that. And the scores kind of kept track on that rondelle in the middle there.
So it is a rondelle because it looks like a rondelle.
Just the scorekeeping is part of the rondelle. And you know what? And somebody else was keeping score, so I'm not great at how that all worked. It was all done for me. And I was at the end of the table, so I couldn't reach anything there anyways. But from what I understand, there's like a multiplier level, so you want to kind of move forward on that inner circle because it helped multiply some of the outer circle when you're scoring them, I think. But I just remember it was a really neat version of it. And then you kind of had tiles that you would flip over. And so we all had our own tiles and we would select what goes in. And there's some that was coming from the market. And then on your turn, be like, okay, so what do you want? And don't look too soon because you're like, oh, great. There's a castle. And I really need the castle. And I would go there and it would be perfect. And by the time your time comes, it's gone. It's like, so it was after Ashley and she took everything I wanted. Was it Ashley? Maybe it was Carla. Oh, I think it was Carla. She just every time was like, oh, okay, great. And then she took it.
So hate drafting on you a little bit.
You know what? I don't even think she knew she was doing it. but it was just a really neat, and it played a lot quicker as well. But it still had that strong sense to it. So looking back now that it's not as fresh a play, I probably would have put them as one entry. But I did it. But it was really neat. I don't own this one. I haven't played it again. I want to. And if I come across it, I am buying this.
Sure.
But it looked just neat with the circle on the table and the little thing you're building. And that's kind of neat with one of those games is even though that Carla kept grabbing what I'm trying to get, you're doing your own thing. Like it's just satisfying. You're building your own thing. You're accomplishing it. Like, you're in your own little world. Nobody can come and mess with this. But
So at least that's what you build. I do like games where you're building your own little city or village or town or whatever it is. I do like that. And then there's just enough player interaction that like you're not playing solo.
Yeah.
But
and it looks super cool.
Yeah, it does. It looks I want to say it almost looks like that what was that Egyptian game that you had on your list with a rondelle in the middle? I think it was. Anyways, it doesn't.
Man, hold on.
It was something.
It's gonna bug me now.
It totally will. And it probably doesn't even have a rondelle in it.
Yeah, well, like Imhotep doesn't have a rondelle. They had the different boats and stuff.
I don't know. But I do like just the, I don't know, the look of it. It looks good. It is one of those games that kind of does look a little vanilla. Could use an updating or something.
I think it's an older game.
But yeah, well, I think Tuscany's fairly new compared. Like I know the other one.
Well, Burgundy has been around for a while. I think Tuscany's like after that. But yeah, did I write down? Oh, 2020. I did write it down.
I feel like it might be a little newer.
So it's not too bad. But 45 to 60 minutes. So it's like a nice quick play.
For sure.
Yeah. It was just really satisfying when I played it. So
no, for sure. And if it's anything like Castles of Burgundy, it's totally
it's just like it plays different than Castle of Burgundy and it looks different, but it's just the end result of what you're trying to accomplish was very much
it
like
feels
Castle.
similar.
Yeah.
Well, but if it's different enough, maybe it is worth having both.
Of course. I'm going to eventually.
No spoilers though, but yeah, so
we know this.
That's your.
That's my number 40.
Your number 40, Castles of Tuscany.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, well, 40. So we're on to 39. So my number 39 is, I would say it's a horror themed game.
Okay.
You could definitely have it on one of your Halloween top nines or whatever.
Yeah.
And again, plays up to 6 people, so that's why we got it. And I've heard that it's fairly broken.
Okay.
About half of the game is broken, but we've never come across that. And that's Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Okay, I love this one. I heard that about it being broken, and I personally have not felt that either.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
So it sounds like from what I've heard is that a couple of the scenarios, you just can't, like one side can't win no matter what. Or they just don't work right. But again, like we've done a half dozen of them and we've never run into an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I know that there's newer editions. Like this is the second edition that we have and they made a third edition. So maybe they fixed all those problems. I don't know, but I never ran across them. So what it is you're basically in a dungeon crawl. So you're going to start out in the entrance to this mansion, and you've been invited there mysteriously by some mysterious benefactor. You don't exactly know why you're there. You like that, eh? But and what you do on your turn is you have a movement ability. So your character is that little hexagon or pentagon, and you have 4 different statistics: 2 physical, 2 mental.
Yeah.
And speed is one of them. So that's how many tiles you can move. So, but if you ever move into a brand new tile, you have to stop. So you choose from a stack of either floor, or there's tiles for like the first floor, second floor, third floor, basement maybe.
Basement, yeah.
Something like that. And you just choose the tile, you put it in whichever orientation makes the most sense for the house, just so you can't create super dead ends. And you just keep playing and you search through decks and you get new items and you just get stronger and you don't even really know why you're there.
No.
But every once in a while, you'll pull an omen card. And when you pull an omen card, it'll be some kind of benefit. You'll still get something out of it. You might find a crazy person who wants to come be your buddy.
Good.
But, and they'll help you out legitimately. Yeah. But on the card, there'll be a little raven.
Yeah.
So every time the omen comes up, you have to make a haunt roll. So what that is you take the number of omen cards that are out on the table, and then you pick up the 3 or 4 or 6 or however many dice it is. I can't remember offhand. But these are 6-sided dice, but they have 2 blanks, 2 1s, and 2 2s, I think, on them. So you take all those dice and you roll them. And as long as you exceed the number of omen cards, you're good. You just keep toddling along.
And I mean, the first time there's only going to be the one omen card as well.
Yeah,
so it's,
So we actually made a rule that we won't until everybody's gone around at least once. Like, because if we all pulled an omen card right away, I feel like that could maybe wreck the game a little bit. But we make it so that everybody has to have taken at least one turn before you can fail that roll.
We don't do that.
And if you ever,
mind you never fail it really early.
No, but I mean the chances are low, but it could, and I think it would spoil it. But anyways, once you fail that roll, there's 2 different books. So based on what room the character was in and what the item on the omen card is that was drawn, you can compare them in this chart, and it says turn to page, or you're doing haunt number 63.
Was it like, I think there's 50 options, right?
Or whatever it is. Yeah. And then there's an expansion, Widow's Walk, that adds like another 50 or something like that.
Yeah.
So you just compare and you figure out which one it is. And then there will be a rule that says whoever has the lowest hit points or the lowest physical health, they take this book, they become the bad guy. Everybody else is a good guy. So whoever the one who is the haunter, I guess you'd call it, they take that book, they leave the room, and they read through exactly what their goals are for the rest of the game. And then the rest of the group gets together and goes through the book and figures out what we have to do. So we might have to escape a haunted house that the doors are all mysteriously locked and the windows are boarded up all of a sudden, and it starts flooding. So we might have to get out of here somehow. There might be some item we have to look for, and the person who's in charge of the haunt, they might actually be a ghost of a small child who just wants friends. So they're going to try to drown all of you so that you'll be their friends and stay with them forever. So that was one of the scenarios that we ran.
Oh, I haven't come across that one.
But yeah, and like there's so many different scenarios, and it is like, it is just a roll, move.
It's satisfying though, and then you have a room that comes up and it looks amazing.
Yeah, the art's
nice. And each room will activate something different. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good.
Yeah, you might run into a pit that drops you down to the basement, and there's no way to get out of the basement unless the mystic elevator gets found.
And you got to go look for it.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's such a fun little quick dungeon crawl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we've brought it to groups where people have never played these types of games before. And I know a lot of people get bored with the first half of the game.
Oh, I like it.
But it's so good for teaching people because there's no stakes. Like if you screw up a little bit, it doesn't really matter because nobody gets hurt or whatever. You can go back up and figure out what. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful game. And you can pick them up cheap. Like I think I've owned it a few times, and I think the last copy I got for like $5 at the thrift store. Yeah, like
oh my god,
people just offload them because they just.
Well, I mean, I guess if you've done the scenarios, I like to do them. Like we've come across one where you turn into Dracula, or one person turns into Dracula. I think we've come across that one twice. I think there's like a werewolf one, and like it's so cool.
We had one
and you never know which one you're gonna get.
Yeah. Like they're all not so different, but they're different enough. Yeah, and I've heard that with the there's a Betrayal at Baldur's Gate.
Yes.
Oh, you own it.
Right here?
Perfect.
And it's like D&D themed.
And I've heard that there's a lot more, you can all still be on the same team playing against the scenario.
Yeah, and I've only played it the one time now because I bought it fairly recently. Well, after I watched the D&D movie. Oh, okay. Then I'm like, I want more D&D games.
There you go.
So that was one of the ones I picked up after that.
Nice. But yeah, it's a great game. And I mean, I think the Baldur's Gate one's just as good if you like that theme. And
oh yeah.
I don't know. They've made 3 editions of it now, so
something's. You know what? Right. One thing I did with this one is I bought the upgraded components.
Yes,
because my copy, those little plastic things would fall off, and then you forget what your sanity was at. So
for sure,
the expansion one has like little dials. Yeah, that was worth it. And then you have like the fancy
nicer dice. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, we bought that and then I sold that, so I'm back down to the base components.
Oh my god!
But it's okay. I mean, I'll suck it up and probably buy the fancy components again sometime.
It's worth it.
But yeah, no, it's wonderful, and the expansion adds twice as much material.
That's one thing with the expansion with this one is it just adds more.
Yeah.
more that you can do, like more content you can come across.
Yeah,
I like those.
I think you could just mix it in with the base game immediately before ever playing, and you wouldn't notice any difference. But
nice.
But yeah, so that's my number 39, Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Great pick. I really, really like this one.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah. Nice. All right, my number 39. I mean, this is the original one is Carla's favorite game of all time ever. And I have never played it. But I played this one, and I played this one after I went visiting back home.
Okay.
And when I went back home, I had kind of forgotten how much I've missed the sea. You get like the smell of the ocean, and then like the sound of the waves, and then like that whole nautical feel. Like it feels like home, and it had been so long since I've been home that I've kind of forgot how much I love it.
Okay.
And then we played this game, and I was like, oh my God, this game feels like home. Just because you had little lobster meeples and seagull meeples, and you had seaweeds that feels yucky like seaweeds, and sea glass and seashells, and it was amazing.
Oh, is this new to your collection?
It is fairly new to my collection.
I know what it is. I know what it is.
It's Everdell Farshore. I bought this one not that long ago, like a week or two ago. We've played it a couple of times now.
Yeah.
But this one, personally for me, okay, I've never played Everdell. From what I understand, it plays very similarly.
Yeah, I just played it. It seemed like the same game, more or less. Yeah.
This theme just gives me that home feel, right? Like it feels nostalgic to me, even though it's not a game I grew up with. But yeah, so with this one, and then is that my picture? No, it's not. Sometimes I go looking for pictures, and it's easier to just take somebody's picture than my own. But so thanks whoever take all these pictures. I just go and get them on Board Game Geek. So, but the components are amazing. You have driftwood, you have the seaweed, the sea glass, and mushrooms. Okay, like I have walked the beaches picking up sea glass so much. Like that's something I have done so much, and I have like a little bowl full of sea glass. It's just like the whole theme of this was really appealing. The artwork is beautiful. There's lots of like little turtle one. I have a pet turtle, so it's like every time I play this game and I come across a turtle card, I take a picture and I put it on my turtle's Facebook page. He has his own Facebook page.
There you go.
So, but you got to collecting cards. You can have up to 15 cards, and it's kind of bit of a engine building in a way, because some will score depending on what you have that you've in your tableau. Some will give you new location that you can go to, because it is a worker placement game. You start with 3, I think it might be 2 workers. And then, but every time you end a season, you get a new worker that adds up. Like the first time, like I did a couple of things, like, whoa, we're done already. Like we gotta move forward because I can't do anything else. But you're going to be collecting resources, and you're going to be spending those resources to purchase cards. You can go on some location that will allow you to discard some cards for resources. And there's another one that will allow you to draw back up to your hand limit. And like, it's really interesting in what you're trying to accomplish. And the season ends differently for everybody.
Sure.
So I might still be on spring and somebody's moved forward a couple of seasons. I think that's not as common. This last game anyways, wasn't me and Lee when we played. We were fairly tight.
Yeah.
He seemed to have way more resources than I did ever.
That's the way Everdell always felt to me. Everybody had so much more than me, but at the end of the game, it wasn't true.
But I had a thing where it would allow me to discard my cards and collect a new card and a seashell for them.
Oh.
So I did that like 3 times, I think. Yeah. And I ended up with like 12 seashells. And each seashells are worth a victory point at the end. So I think that's what kind of gave me the win that one round. But these seashells are like, 3D, and they're shiny, they're pearly, like a seashell would be.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this game is amazing. I don't know if I will ever try to play Everdell. If I come across it, maybe, but this one I'm so completely satisfied with that I'm not going to go out of my way to try to get Everdell. Then you do have that 3D lighthouse that is completely useless. We put it there so it was in the picture and it looked cute, but there is no purpose to it at all, except that in the box it holds the stuff underneath.
Oh, underneath. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why they decided to put it in, because again, like the tree in Everdell was great, because it looked amazing.
Yeah.
But it was just in the way.
Yeah. I think it was just like for table presence, right?
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was, hey, come look at this game, and that's what drew a lot of people in. And then you realized, okay, it's cutesy, but it's not just cutesy. It's also a heavy strategic
really
game.
Good game, yeah.
But like as gameplay goes, I mean, it's been a while since I've played Everdell, and I played this maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah.
They seem to have played almost exactly the same. I know one of the things they took out is you could get buildings in your own tableau that other people could visit as an action in Everdell, and they took that out in this one. And I think it was just because it takes up a lot of table space.
Yeah.
So if I'm over here and you're way over there, you're never going to see what my buildings do.
Right.
So they just won't get used. So I think they just realized it wasn't the most efficient mechanism and streamlined it. And yeah, like, I mean, I don't own Everdell anymore, but if I were to rebuy, I'd probably buy this version.
It's so pretty.
Yeah. Just because it's more self-contained too. Like with Everdell, I feel like there's so many expansions that...
It's unreal. And I don't do expansion.
Yeah.
So there's like a dozen expansions.
Yeah, there's quite a few. And
there might be more that comes from Farshore as well.
I hope not. I hope they leave it alone. I hope they just leave it as, unless there's some like little tiny thing that they need to add to fix a problem that... But
there's no problem with this one. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah. So yeah, I would just stay with Farshore if you had the choice between the two.
Yeah.
Because they're the same game, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that's a wonderful, wonderful pick.
Thanks.
I quite like it. And who doesn't like cute little animals? I know I do.
Well, this one doesn't really have... Well, I mean, like, it's
all the
sea
animal
creatures,
cards
I guess.
are cute.
Yeah.
You don't find sea creatures cute?
Well, I just don't think of them as animals.
Oh. Okay. Sure.
If you say, oh, cute animals, sea creatures don't come to mind.
There you go. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Sorry, Paul.
Poor Paul the turtle. Perfect. Okay, so that's your number 39.
My number 39, Everdell Farshore.
Farshore. Nice. So now we're on to number 38.
Yes.
So my number 38 is a crossover.
Oh my gosh. Well, we should be getting crossovers now.
Yeah, right? Yeah, for sure. So I'm wondering, I'm curious if we're going to have any crossovers on the same number. I know we were really close. Like we were like 3 away with one of them. Yeah. But this is a crossover, and it's also the least expensive game on my list.
And you just bought one for $5?
And I may have bought one for $5. Well, I may have bought 15 for $5 each and given away 14 copies.
Okay.
And that is...
Oh, yes, I know what this is.
Downforce.
Downforce.
So again, we went over it fairly recently. I think it was last video even that you had it in there, and yeah, it's just. I mean, for what it is,
42, so it's pretty close.
Yeah, there you go. It was really close. So for what it is, like it's a simple enough game that we've been able to teach it to anybody, and anybody's been able to play it. Yeah, and who doesn't love race cards?
Everybody loves race cards.
Yeah, and it's got the car auction at the beginning, which is kind of fun for me. Like I like to do that auctioning. Okay, well, I'll pay this much, you can pay that much, and you use your cards for all of that, which is great. Mm-hmm. And then I really love the movement in the game where you have a handful of cards, so you know how far you're going to be able to move your car that you want, and you might not be able to get it to the end.
Yeah.
So you're really depending on other people to move your car for you a whole bunch, and you got to make sure, like, because the track tightens up in a few spots, so you can drop a car right there and then use all your big number cards for the other cars so they get stuck behind you and can't move and waste that. And I just, yeah, it's so great. Now I've only played the Dollarama Target version.
The other version is the same, pretty much. It plays exactly the same. Yeah. The abilities are slightly different.
Yeah, and that's what, like, I remember when we opened it up at your place. The players seemed a little bit more take-thatty a little bit, like the powers. There was a little bit of that in that one, whereas in the Dollarama, there's none of that. It's just what can benefit me, how can I benefit me. It was not as aggressive with that. But yeah, so this is, I mentioned that I had 2 racing games on my list, 2 race car games, and this is the second one. So that means
the first one was
Formula D.
Formula D. Oh, so that's it for races for you.
So that's it for race car games for me.
Wow.
So spoiler. So Now I haven't played Heat, but even had I played it, I don't know that it would make it because
It would.
I don't know that I need another one. I've watched a couple tutorials and it seems okay. But I don't want to diss another game. I want to talk this one up. Like, this is great.
No, and honestly, yeah, Downforce. To me, like, should you own Heat and Downforce? Yes. I didn't think so either. I didn't bother with Heat until I played Heat. But, well, when we like the racing games, but they play differently enough, and then they still have that neat race satisfaction. Like, a racing game gives you such satisfaction when you play.
Yeah.
Yeah. We played this one a couple weeks ago at the Acme Legion Day. And I introduced like 2 kids to it. No, they had played it before. But the little girl, she's like, I really want this one. So she's bidding as high as she can. I was like, you're going to have to win. Because at the end of the game, you take whichever car wins, the race gets a certain point.
Yep. First, second, and third. Yeah.
So if it's one of your cars, then you get that prize. But then you also bid at 3 locations on who you think is going to win. And if you guess correctly, you would win that prize as well. So even if your car doesn't win, you could still win.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You don't have to have the winning car as long as you bet right.
And then you put those together and take out your initial bid. So,
well, that's the thing is if you spend 10 million or something, or whatever, 7 million for your vehicle and I spend 1, well, I'm already winning by 6 million.
Exactly. So it's like you better win. You better be at the front of the race, and she was not.
Yeah. No, but it's a great game.
Oh.
Like I said before, I mean, those $5 copies from Dollarama, I would have no hesitation to pay somebody $10 for theirs.
Oh, it's such a good game.
It's well worth it. And if you ever, and I mean, I think it's going to drag down the price of the main game, which is unfortunate, but
I mean, I played, I think, 30 for my secondhand copy, and I was thrilled.
Yeah, I would have been giddy to pay 30.
Oh,
so
it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like, it's worth the Dollarama deal is unreal.
Yeah,
but you are getting a deal. It's not a $5 worth game. It's a $40 game
for sure. Yeah. It is fully like a full price valued game. So. So I wouldn't worry about it at all. But yeah, that's my number 38.
Nice.
Downforce.
I approve.
Thanks, Mel.
Yeah. Okay, my number 38. I played this one for the first time at FallCon.
Okay.
And this was the first time I went to FallCon. I was there by myself, and I didn't really know anybody in the community because I was fairly new to the hobby. And when you go to these conventions, you can sign up to play these games that they're going to teach. And so it's like a scheduled play. Yep. And I'd signed up for this one. So I had watched a tutorial before, so I would kind of have an idea of how to play. And I ended up winning. It was great.
There you go.
And this was a lot of firsts for me. I had never come across this type of mechanism because I was so new to the hobby. But that is Heaven and Ale.
Oh.
Have you played this one?
No.
It's good.
Never.
It's interesting. So you're monks and you're brewing beer or ale, obviously. Yeah. So you need to kind of collect certain ingredients, and then you're going to add tiles onto your board so the way that you kind of win is your score, but the way that the score is going to work is you move all of your separate ingredients up on your board, and some starts further back and some's in the middle, and you kind of move everything over. And you also have your monk that you're going to move over, and eventually he's going to get into the multiplier area. Okay. And what's going to happen is you're going to what you reach for multiplier times your lowest ingredient.
Oh, so you got to make sure everything.
So you got to make sure everything has moved out. And then as you collect these tiles, you get to decide if you add them to the light side or the dark side of your map. On the dark side, it's going to give you money.
Okay.
Now on the light side, it's going to move you up on your board, right?
Okay.
But you have and you get that when they get activated because there's these little villages on there. So once they're surrounded, depending on the value that's around the village, how much of those tiles you're going to get to activate.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
So if you have all bunch of big numbers, you get, okay, well, my score is this, you get to activate 3 of them that are or something. Now, if it's a really low number, you would get to activate 1. So you're trying to build this up and activate these different things. And then you also have monk that you would be adding to the tiles. And then when you can activate your monk, then they do all of these things, but all of the stuff that's going to activate and what you decide to do also kind of happens on this board, and the tile you collect happens on the board. And it's one of those where you can go as far forward as you want, but you can't go backwards.
Oh, I love those, like a ladder kind of game.
Yeah. So then you're going around, say, okay, well, I really want this one, then, but Travis probably will too. So I'll go to that. But then that means I skip this monk and I skip this thing.
Yeah.
I'll do it anyways, and you go and you do that, and then you can activate your monks. And then once you start having like combination, you get to activate these special abilities that it's, to explain it, it's a complex game.
Yeah,
and I suppose to play it, it's probably slightly up there as well. But it is so neat. It is such a fun, cool game. And then if things haven't been picked up, then they kind of stay there and you add onto it as well.
Just to make it more appealing. Okay.
And then the first one that reaches the end of the round can decide what they want. If they want to be first player, if they want to get some money, if they want to kind of get to pick where you're going to go. But then if you get like an ability, you're not going to be first player, so you're not going to get first dibs at the next tiles coming out. Then you're going to have your level 2 tiles and your level 3 tiles.
Sure.
And then as you meet certain goals, you can go and complete the goal, and you collect these barrels that will be like, okay, well, now that I have all of this, I get this barrel, and that's going to give you extra points at the end of the game as well. And then underneath, there's a smaller barrel. So the second person that does it will also get a benefit, but it's a smaller benefit. So you're trying to be the first one to get. It is so neat. I really enjoy this game. It is, like the fact that the first time I played, I won, because the tutorial I watched kind of taught you, this is a strategy you may want to try. So I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that signs up for these games, like, I've never played this game. Let's learn.
Sure.
It's had an advantage for sure.
Wow, but I'm sure somebody else at the table had played it before. So
maybe, yeah. But yeah, no, it was so cool. I think I played with Greg. That's kind of was the weekend I met Greg as well.
Okay.
But I can't remember if he was playing on my game or at a different, because it had a couple tables going, but so good.
Yeah, it looks good. Like, it looks, and looks are totally deceiving, but it looks in that Castles of Burgundy kind of.
Yeah. Like with what you're building, it has that feel, but it feels a little bit more complex, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it looks like there's a lot going on as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we've played another game here that's similar to it.
Okay.
But I'll have to kind of remember at some point, because I don't think we actually played this one.
No, I don't think we played this one. We
definitely played some other kind of farming game that was in the same.
Oh, like Granja, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But no, it looks really good. It looks maybe a little too thinky for me. I'd probably do poorly, but I'd have fun.
You would have fun losing
and moving monks around. Yeah, for sure. I don't.
But yeah, no, it's just such a neat game. Definitely. Yeah. It would be one of those, like, the more you play, the more comfortable you would get with it, and then kind of you would probably do better.
Yeah.
But no, it's good.
Nice.
It's so good.
No, it looks good. I'd like to give it a try for sure. So
so that was my number 38. Heaven and Ale.
Heaven and Ale. Yeah, I don't know why I never. Maybe just the box didn't appeal to me or something like that.
Really, you don't like those mosaic-looking people?
No, I think they look lovely. Just I don't know. I don't know why I never tried it, because it's always been around. But
and I think we got it to the table and set it up where we're going to play it, and then I had another game going, so I kind of taught it real quick and left. And then after I left, they're like, "Yeah, let's just pack this up and play something else." And I think it's daunting a little.
Yeah,
right?
that makes sense. Like, if you don't have a teacher to be there on site, like, it could be a harder.
Yeah,
because you probably have to have a lot of stuff corrected all the time, especially if you're newer to like a heavier style game. I don't know what it's weight.
Like, once you get the feel of it and be like, okay, and then someone's like, well, this is like, if you do that and you put it here, it'll cost you this much, but you get this, and it's like, to kind of help you along. It's not an outrageous, unplayable game.
No,
but it sounds daunting. First time you're exposed to
a lot
it,
of the
right?
big heavier games. I played one about building a library in the Middle East with Ashley the other day.
Right.
Can't remember, like Sakara or something like that. And again, like, super, super heavy, but as soon as you figure out the basics of it, it all makes sense. So as long as it all makes sense on the mat, like, I think it'll be a good game. So
nice.
But yeah, so my number 37 is a big giant game, big giant box with lots of extra boxes. Sold all the extra boxes because there's so much in the base game. You don't really need the extra boxes.
Okay.
At least for me. It's a big solo game.
Okay. So I probably haven't played it.
It's a darker game.
Oh, okay.
It's an Arthurian theme.
I don't know that I know what that means.
It
Like from
is
King Arthur?
From King Arthur.
Okay, yeah.
It is called, do you know what it is?
I just go.
Tainted
Okay,
Grail.
yes. I was not going to guess that.
So I think lots of people have heard of Tainted Grail. I don't know if a lot of people have played it.
I didn't realize it was a solo game.
No, it's not strictly. So I played it solo.
Oh, okay.
So I was a little misleading there, maybe.
Right.
But yeah, so it's a 1 to 4 player game. And I love when I was looking it up this morning, just to kind of refresh myself a little bit, I looked at the times. I'm like, wow, that's probably not accurate because it says it's 60 to 90 minutes. 60 to 90 minutes would be like the shorter of the 15 campaigns that you play to get through the story. So it's one of those games where you can't just pick up and play once. Well, you could play the first scenario, I guess, and walk away. Yeah. But you really need to play through it for the story. So it's a heavily story-driven game. And the idea is that it's back in the Arthurian, like King Arthur, Merlin kind of era. Yeah. And there's this island where Camelot, with a K for some reason, instead of a C is. And there's all these outside villages and stuff like that. And they have these things called menhir that push away the darkness. The weird is what they call it. Like there's something mystical happening or alien or something. Right. But these menhir are these big, giant, creepy statues, and they have a little timer disc inside of them. Oh, no way. So you have to reset these things to keep them, like you have to relight them to have them going. And the only tiles that you have access to, or the only cards, are the ones that are adjacent to the menhir, like or orthogonal. Like they have to be right attached to it, or else you can't access them. And they're all cards. And you're going to have your own player character. You can see it just above the creepy statue there. That's one of the players. And you have your own set of cards as well that are specific to your character to start. So, and you're the heroes of this land, but you're also kind of the third string heroes because all the good heroes are gone and they all disappeared. Oh. So you're just kind of trying to figure out what happened to them, why the weird is taking over, why the menhir are going dark. And it's just this big, giant, sprawling story that you can just dive into. Oh, it sounds great. Oh, it's so good. And each of the cards have like different locations on them. So, and there's a big, giant book with all the actions, but I got the app because it was narrated as well. Nice. Professionally by a whole bunch of different voices. So, because I don't know that I would have been able to do it with all the reading, but the app was great. Nice. So you'd go to a store or to a different tile, and it might be a battleground or something like that, and there might be 7 different options that you can take. So you just choose the one that you want. It's like a big choose your own adventure. Okay. And there might be a test that you might have to come up. So because you have to feed yourself, you have to. Oh, gee, magic. Okay, yeah. And, yeah, like it's a very punishing game for sure. Okay. So, but you might run into like a deer. Well, okay, I can kill that deer for food. And the way it works is it's not shown here, but you have a deck of cards that are your player cards. You're going to have, I think it's 4 or something like that. It might be able to be adjusted, but you have 4 cards, and there will be the card with the deer on it, and it'll have icons like on After Us. Okay. So you know how the cards in After Us have those different little icons on them? Yeah. And you have to match them up to be able to gain that thing. So in this, you have to match up different icons, and based on how many skill points you have in each of those different statistics is how many damage you'll do to the creature. And if you do enough damage, you can kill them. So, but it's really neat, like just the way that the cards match up and all the icons on them. It's great. So there's physical challenges like that, and then there's also like political challenges, or that's the wrong word, but where you're just negotiating with people. Okay. And it's the similar thing, but the cards are used differently. You have different cards for that. And so you can lean heavily towards I'm just the big thug, or you can lean towards I'm a magical guy who can light up the menhir way more. And you're just working through this big, giant, sprawling story. Now, I've never made it to the end because I've played strictly by the rules of when you die, you're dead. Okay, yeah. So I think the next time I get it out onto the table, they have the ability to you just back up to your last kind of save point and start from there. And I might do that just so I can actually make it through it, because I've put 100 hours into this game probably, and maybe made it halfway. So,
Oh, no way, jeez.
But yeah, it's just,
And that's the base game?
that's just the base game. So, and then they came out with like 3 or 4 more expansions, and I think they just did another Kickstarter with more stuff.
See, and if you're gonna do and commit that kind of time to a game, like that has to be your game. Like that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what it was for me, because my family doesn't play a lot of games
Right.
with me, and I can't do video games and stuff like that. So I figured, you know what, something like this is great for me. And man, it was really, really good. And I like that whole theme and stuff like that. It was, it's a solid game. Like if you ever get a chance to play it, or if they ever do an app integration or something like that where you can just play it online, it's probably worth throwing your hat in the ring for just a little while. But yeah, no, that's my number 73.
73? 37?
37. This Dexia is tough, isn't it, guys? My number 37. Tainted Grail.
Just went back in time. All right, my number 37. So I want to play it again soon, because I went to a play, the Three Hills Art Society. I think they do a play a month.
Is that the Sherlock Holmes one?
Yes, I went to the Sherlock Holmes Legacy Light last night, and it was so good. Oh my God, it was so good. Then I come home and I was like, okay, let's play Sherlock Consulting Detective. It's like, I like to theme my games to what's going on. So next month they're doing Clue, the play. So I want to go see that, and then I want to do like the day before or the day of, then do like a bunch of like these type of games. And this one is probably like one of my favorite from that genre, and that's Awkward Guests.
Oh, I was gonna say Awkward Guests.
Awkward Guests is so good. I played it for the first time at Gobfest.
Okay.
And my friend Peter was like, we asked him, and like it was like the end of the weekend and the end of the day. And we're like, please teach us. And he's like, okay, fine. And then he set it up for us and we played it. And I mean, with Clue and a lot of those type of game, it's like, I think it's, with a candlestick and be like, okay, I'll show you, look, the candlestick. So, it's not the candlestick. You cross this off. With this one, it's different. First of all, you don't get shown the clue. You have to make an offer and saying, okay, I want to know about this character and this location. And you kind of have your clues, and you can see, and they'll show like on an icon, like what it's about. And it's like, okay, well, I have some clues, and each clue is given a value, and you can put them multiple together. Say, well, I have 3 cards I could show you. It comes to a value of 5. So I was like, hey, 3 cards for 5. And if I accept your offer, I have to give you 5 points worth of clue from my own hand, and then we trade it. Mm-hmm. But then when you take these cards and you look at your new clues, it'll say, the forensic scientist says it wasn't a blunt instrument.
Okay.
That was a cause of death. So it's not just like it wasn't the hammer. You go, it's like, it's not a blunt instrument. So you're going to cross off the hammer and you cross off the pipe. Like, it's kind of more like this. And then you'll get those like, well, the maid said that she overheard this person, and this person is like, okay, well, and then like, so it is really interesting. Yeah. And there's 200 cards in this game. And then depending on the scenario that you set up, and you can do it with the app as well, which kind of, but it's like, hey, pull out these cards. And you just go through and pull out these cards. And that combination of card is going to result this one scenario. I don't know how they come up with that. That's amazing, because those cards could be used in other scenarios as well. Yeah. But it depends on the combination that's come together. And then as you get these combination, and you got the mystery you're trying to solve, and then you can you got to figure out who was a murderer, where it happened, or where they came from, or like what was the weapon, and what was their motive. So it's really neat. I so enjoyed this one. They made a second copy of Awkward Guests. I don't remember what this one was titled, like Awkward Guest, A Case of Something. They've made a second one just in 2023. And then they also made Scandalo, which is kind of like a lighter theme where you're a journalist and you're trying to get the dirt on these famous people, and which newspaper is going to publish it, and you're just you're trying to dig up scandals on these. So I haven't played Scandalo yet. I haven't played the second version of Awkward Guest, but This game was so good. I love it so much.
Yeah.
And it's just like the best version of what a Clue game could be, right? Like,
Nice.
so good.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Clue as a kid.
Yeah.
And even a young adult.
Have you played Awkward Guest?
I haven't. So I saw the Dice Tower raved about it, and just when I was thinking about it, there were no copies available to buy. And I haven't seen any come up on the second.
Yeah, no, afterwards I was like, okay, I want this.
Yeah.
And somebody from, Keith and like kind of further, like they're not in Calgary, they're east of Calgary, but they were selling their copy. I was like, oh, okay, I want to buy it. So I bought their copy.
Yeah.
And they was like, well, do you want me to just bring it at FallCon? I'm like, I'm not waiting that long. I'm coming to you right now. That's like so I drove all over to go get it. And I wanted, because it was right before Malcon too, and I wanted it to have it at Malcon.
Oh, okay.
So, and then we ended up playing it two or three times at Malcon, but
sure. Well,
my God, I love this one.
I think at Malcon in the spring here, I think you should bring it out. And,
yeah.
And I'll jump in for sure. I've wanted to play it for, I don't know. It's 3 or 4 years old now, at least. I think.
Yeah, this one was printed 2016, so it's up there.
Yeah, so it's quite a bit older. Yeah,
8 years,
I've wanted to play it. I just haven't.
Yeah,
haven't been able to get a hold of a copy or been in the room with somebody who was setting it up. So this is like high up there on my want to play list for sure. So
as it should be.
As it should be. Most of these games, except for Tainted Grail, obviously, will be like highly sought after. But no, Awkward Guest looks great. Looks amazing. I'd love to. Well, I mean, it's funny too because it's like black and white or sepia. Yeah. And how is it so appealing? But I think it just
is.
Maybe
plus you can kind of set different difficulty, right?
Sure.
You're gonna have to go on easy and everything you hear is fine. But then if you set up at a higher difficulty, what the characters are telling you. Now the staff can't lie, but characters could lie. Like they kind of like you can make it where it's a little bit more like it's well designed. Yeah. Oh my God, this game is great.
Seems like a good one.
Yeah.
So that's your number 37.
That is my number 37, Awkward Guests.
Awkward Guests. Nice. Yeah, that's I've always liked the Clue style games. So that's a good one. So my next game, my number 36, is a game that I've only played once.
Of course.
I almost got to play it again, but some components were missing. So we weren't able to play it, which was unfortunate.
Yeah.
I watched a couple refresher videos and I want to play it so bad.
What is it?
This is by Elizabeth Hargrave.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You have any idea?
Is it Wingspan?
It is not Wingspan.
Oh.
It is The Fox Experiment.
I've heard so much good things about it, but I've never played it.
Okay, so The Fox Experiment is, I'm assuming it's her third game because I know she made a butterfly game as well.
Yeah, Mariposa.
Yeah, and I never played that one, but I enjoyed Wingspan. My wife quite liked Wingspan. And I saw this one, and I don't know, I like cute little animals, and foxes are great. And then Ashley taught it to us, and open up the box, and there's like 1,000 dice. Not quite 1,000, but there's so many dice.
That's nice. And then the picture I picked has no dice at all.
No dice, but that's okay. So I love chucking dice. So what this is based off of apparently a real life situation where some Russian scientists decided we're going to try to breed, or we're going to try to domesticate the fox.
Okay.
So they spent generations of these foxes breeding them for their best traits like curly tails, friendliness, fluffy ears, or whatever the specific traits are. I can't remember them all specifically.
Right.
But what you're doing is you're going to have this is actually a terrible picture, but that's okay.
It looks good though.
It does.
Bright it is.
So, but you're going to play over 5 rounds, 5 generations. And what's going to happen is at the beginning of your the round, you're going to have a draft. So there's 3 different options to draft. You can draft a male, a female, or your position for the next round.
Okay.
So you can choose which one you want to take, and then the next person chooses theirs, and so on and so forth. And each of the cards of the individual foxes, they'll have a name like Susan the Fox, and it'll have 2 blue dice pictured on the bottom of it.
Okay.
And then there might be a male that has a blue die and 2 pink dice on it. So if you take those 2 and breed them together, you would take all the dice associated with it, along with some extra little tokens and stuff that you can get in some wild dice, and you roll them all out, and then you match up the symbols. So kind of like you might have either a full symbol or a half of a symbol on a die, or a full one and a half of one. And you build them together as quickly as you can. Well, not as quickly as you can, but you do it as efficiently as you can to see how many of those specific traits you can build out of those dice, and you can use your little tokens to modify them a little bit.
Right.
And then you're going to draw a new card, which is going to have a new fox on it with no name. So it's all dry erase. So you get to write your own name.
Okay, cool.
So you can write Melanie on one.
That's right. The fox Melanie.
Yeah, there you go. And then what you do is on the bottom, it has this little grid of I think it's 5 spaces per trait.
Okay.
And you take all the pips on the dice that you rolled for specific traits. So you might have 2 curly tail that you were able to do. So you fill in 2 curly tail.
So it's like what the traits from the mom, the traits of the dad, and what you're able to match together is what the baby's going to get.
Yeah.
That is cool.
So, and your babies will be a little bit stronger, friendlier, I guess, is than the male, or than the parents. So the parents go away, that generation goes away. And then every fox that's made from that previous one, they will have a friendliness score. So based on how many icons you were able to build and add onto those cards, they'll get a friendliness score. So they might have a friendliness score of 3 or 7 or 20, I think you could even get up to. And then it goes back into and you score points based on what your fox is like, and you can advance some different tracks. There's 5 different tracks, I think, where you can breed multiple foxes, or you can get different bonuses. You can, there's some...
Will you breed the babies with other babies then?
Yeah, so then all your babies go back in. So the baby that I just made, little Melanie's, isn't mine necessarily. I might choose Melanie, or somebody might get Melanie before I do.
Of course, you would want Melanie.
So I might have to grab some other random name drop that I can't think of right now to throw in there with another male, and then you just keep breeding, and you do it for 5 generations, and you get to the point where you can make multiple babies with the one set. So that
says like that generational thing kind of has Mariposa in it.
Okay, so I've never played Mariposa at all. So
because that one is the monarch butterflies, and then they travel from like Mexico to North America, back to Mexico. But one butterfly doesn't do it. It's multiple generation that has to do it, and then has to come back. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a great little game, and there's sponsors and stuff that you can use. And I don't know, who doesn't love like the last couple turns when you've got like 15, well, not 15, but 10, 12 dice. You get to just chuck it once. Oh, I love it. It's such a good game. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm missing, I'm sure, because it is light though.
Oh, okay, really?
So
it doesn't look like
it seems a lot heavier than it is, but really there's a handful of different options to take. Like, it's only an hour-long game.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think it's BGG, like, difficulty rating's fairly low. Like, I think it's like below 2.
Oh, wow. That is, yeah.
But because it's just some of the scoring things that kind of make it a little bit more difficult.
Right.
But it is very much just like a dice chucker. Let's jam these 2 together. But it's just so, I don't know. It makes you just feel good. So, and you get to roll so many dice.
Which is on the picture.
And
that's the thing when you picked a picture of a game you haven't played. Is like, I don't know. This looks like
for sure. Yeah. I shouldn't have said it was a bad picture. Like, it still does. Like, I mean, the art.
So that's the main board, obviously.
Yeah, this is the main board, but you're going to have individual. Like, you can see at the very top, upside down, is one of the pups.
Oh, okay.
And underneath it would be the name, and then all the traits that you're trying to get. And
that's interesting. Yeah.
It's such a good game.
It Definitely sounds really good. I mean, I've heard great things about it. Just haven't had the chance to play
I think if I had played it several more times and enjoyed it as much as I did the first time, it would be dramatically higher.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So.
Oh, okay, nice.
But yeah, so that's my number 36, the poorly explained Fox Experiment.
I don't know. Not knowing any different, it sounds like you explained it pretty good, and it sounds really good.
Oh, yeah.
All right, my number 36 was my most played game of 2023.
Was it a smaller game?
No.
Oh.
This is a game that if you're going to bother getting it, it's going to be in the way all the time. You're going to really struggle figuring out where you're going to store it.
Oh, would you store it on maybe a top shelf somewhere?
No, it wouldn't fit on the top shelf.
Oh, man. I thought it was going to be Dice Throne.
Nope.
Okay, I don't know.
And this is one that's been around for, 1876, but I discovered it this year or last year.
I think I'm looking at it right now.
I think you're looking at it right now, too. And that's Crokinole.
Oh, what a good game.
Right. It was invented in Canada, from what I understand.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have these discs, and you got to start on the outer ring, and you flick it trying to get it past these posts into the middle, and there's a circle in the middle, and if you get it in there, it's 20 points. The disc comes out, it's guaranteed. Otherwise, if you get into that inner circle, your disc stays. Now, if you go to do that and the other player's disc is on there, you got to hit their disc or your count doesn't, and it comes off, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
So then you got to try to flick at their disc and try to get as close to the inner circle as you can. At that point, it doesn't matter where it lands. As long as you hit the other player's disc, your disc will stay.
Yeah.
But then once you've done that, I think you get like 11 or 13 discs each. And then once you've done all of yours, then what's left on the board is going to score. And the inner circle is 15, 10, and then 5 points.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? And it's funny because, like, ideally you would play this one 2 players.
Sure.
You can play 4.
Yeah.
And we will often play 4 with the kids and stuff.
Yep.
And then me and Lee, 2 players, I have never won. He just slaughters me all the time. It's unreal. More than 2 players, Lee cannot win. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But this one, like, I bought my copy, and it's kind of a rough copy. You can see a little bit over there. In a yard sale.
It's a pretty nice copy, though.
But it's a $5 yard sale fine or $15 yard sale fine. You can buy nice ones, and it'll be like $200 to $300 to $400.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like, it's big. It takes your table, so it doesn't fold up. Like, it's big. I see a lot of people will kind of mount it on the wall. As kind
we
of
have one hung above our deep freeze.
Yeah.
Just because it's out of the way there. And
yeah. And then you pull it out, and then it's so satisfying to play. And it took me a while to get the hang of the flick so that my fingers didn't get so sore.
Sure.
And you want to flick so that you're kind of already up against the thing, and then you just move. And then you kind of get a couple of flick where it's like, the hell? And it's flicked across the wall, like, or across the room, and it's like, whoops. And then you get like that flick, and then it just like bounced off of that, gets that one out of the way, and it's almost right at the 20 mark. And it's just like, that was such a satisfying one. Like, it is like, you will have like moments of joy, and you will swear in this game. Like, it's one extreme to the other, but you never just play the one game. It's like, okay, again.
For sure.
It's like, you did it. Okay, one more time. and a lot of people, this has been like a childhood game.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for me, I just discovered this, right?
Oh, okay.
But it's so good.
Yeah. So we used to go visit my grandparents out in the middle of nowhere in northern Alberta, and this is the game that they had.
Yeah.
So they had a checkerboard on the back of it, and then a little space game or something like that on the back of it. But we would just sit there and flick for hours and hours and hours because it was great. And we'd make our own little rules out of it sometimes. But yeah, it's such a good little game. And this is one that would definitely be in my top 100, probably top 50. But again, I didn't put those classic
kind
games
of with
on my
like
list.
along the crib and that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like crib would be top 10. This would be top 50 for sure.
Yeah.
It's such a good little game. I'd love to get like a really nice board. Like ours is my grandparents' beat up board that we played with 45 years ago.
Well, you can't get rid of that either, though.
No, for sure. One. But I'd like to have like a nice big one to bring to like
There's some are beautiful. Do you use the sand? Like, I never do.
No.
Some people do, and then it makes it so that it slides easier.
I feel like it would slide too much. Like I played a lot of shuffleboard growing up.
Yeah.
And you had to use the chalky or the wax or whatever it is, but I don't know that you need it in this really.
No, honestly, I don't think you do. But, my copy is as lackluster as it can get. Like, it is dull, but like it's
still
just
pretty nice.
I love it. It was like the best yard sale find ever.
Mine, some of the posts are worn out, but like I said, like I don't even know how old it is. Like, I played it 45 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So had they had it 20 years? I don't know. So
nice.
But yeah, such a good choice for sure. Like, if you ever at a convention or even just walking around and you see one in the mall set up,
play.
Have a couple flicks because it's so much fun.
It's satisfying.
But yeah, that's a solid number 36.
Thanks, Crokinole.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that one's pretty close to your board.
Yeah, mine's more like it's brown. It's not like a wood finish in the middle, but I love it still.
Yeah, it's
And for the
great.
price, it was amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So I could, yeah. Okay, so we're on to number 35, halfway through this list. I like space exploration.
Okay.
I really wanted to like terraforming Mars.
You were saying, yeah?
But there was something about it that just didn't click for
you.
me. And this is the game that, it's not Martian themed specifically, but this is the game that I kind of wanted Terraforming Mars to be. It's a lot lighter,
Okay.
plays a bit quicker, and there's a Lazy Susan in it.
Oh, well then. Oh, yes. That is a good game.
Planet Unknown.
Yeah.
So I've only played it physically like 2 or 3 times, and a couple times on an app.
Nice.
So I've played it a handful of times. I don't know that I've ever won.
I did not.
But it's so great. Just I don't even. Okay, so what it is, you have a map in front of you, and then you have tracks, and I love tracks that you can move up and get bonuses on. But what you're doing is you have a Lazy Susan, and you're all set up around a table, and you take a little marker and set it in front of you, pointing towards one of the rows. So the 2 exterior tiles on one side, and then on your turn, you rotate that board. And you choose a section that you want. So an outside and an inside that are in the same row. And you stop it there. And you choose one of those 2 tiles and you place it on your board. The neat thing is that Mel's going at the same time. She has to take the tile that's lined up against her marker.
So I can pick from those 2.
One of those 2.
But I don't get to choose beyond that.
Yeah, but you don't get to choose beyond that. And then you'll take and you'll place it on your board. And then you'll activate your row on the left based on what tile you pick. So if you picked one that had half black and half red, you would get to move up your Civ track a little bit, and then you would move up your rover track a little bit. So you can have rovers that'll drive around and pick up cargo containers that are, because everybody starts with 6 cargo containers, and some of the tiles will have little asteroids on them. So when you play it down, an asteroid shows up, and the scoring works by all the vertical and horizontal rows.
Yes.
If they're completed with no meteorites in the way, you score points for that. But if there's a meteorite, it's going to kill that horizontal row as well as the vertical row.
Yeah, so you want to get rid of those.
So you got to get rid of them, and the only way to get rid of them is with your rovers or a couple other cards, but primarily your rovers. So you got to get that track up, and then you can move up on your biomass track, I think it is. So you're building grass and trees and stuff like that. And every once in a while, you'll hit a biomass token on that track. So you get a little 1x1 square, and you can squeeze it into all little spots just so that you can complete those rows, because the rows have to be complete all the way across to score. And then on the Civ track, you can move up, and at certain points, you'll be able to draw a card from the Civilization deck. So it's just like an endgame scoring or like a one-time bonus. You might get to rescue a couple of life pods from the other side of the map if you want, or just score a couple of points for the end. And then there's the ocean track or the water track. And the water track doesn't really have any bonuses to it. Just it has the same little bonus of every other track has, that if you hit this marker, you get to move another one up somewhere. But it's worth the most points if you get it all the way to the top, because you want to get your planet as liquid as you can, I guess. Yeah. And then there's a couple other tracks, a rover, and then there's a technology track that'll let you advance to get little bonuses, like you can save those pieces of biomass, or you can move your rover a little bit further or something like that. But yeah, and you just play until somebody can't place a piece anymore because they can't fit it. And then that's the last round, and you just like increase your tracks for that piece that you couldn't use. And then you just add up your scores and subtract your asteroids that are in the way. And yeah, it's just, it's a slick game. It's about an hour long to play once you know what it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's so good. And I know on the app that I played, there were like asymmetric powers for the planet. So I only played it once, and I didn't quite understand.
See, and I've only played this game once, and it was already set up, and somebody said, I have to leave Melanie sit in, you play this, and they were still explaining.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can play with the board where all the planets are the same, or you can play on the other side where it's all asymmetric. And the one that I had was a black hole.
Oh,
so my planet's on the outside of this black hole, so it's a lot harder to maneuver. I lost so bad. But my ability was that my water track moved quicker and it moved into the other tracks as well. So sometimes it would activate this. So it made a lot more sense to get as much water in my black hole surrounding. I wouldn't say a planet, but because there's a black hole in the middle of it. But I had such a hard time trying to get around to fill the because
Well, the rovers be brutal to get around.
It was so I did not do well, but it was like the water track was really neat because it would jump between the other tracks and I would get to activate this and you kind of concentrate on your water, but it was a very satisfying game. But to play avoid the black hole, at least your first game.
I've only played it a half dozen times or something like that.
Do you own it?
No, it's one that I would
pick up.
Probably pick up.
I would too.
I'll play it every time it's on a table for sure. I don't know that I'd be able to get it to the table at home all that much. Like the Lazy Susan's beautiful and polyominoes go over fairly well in our house. Yeah. So I probably could.
Just don't, if you play with your wife, don't make her be the black hole.
No, for sure. she gets all the bonuses. So, but I quite like it. If you ever get a chance to sit down at a convention or whatever and play it, do it.
Nice.
So good. That's my number 35, Planet Unknown.
Yeah,
great. And I'm sure there's a really witty joke in there, but I'm not feeling it today.
Yeah, it's like you haven't had any really puns and jokes so much really today.
Sorry,
you're off your game.
I'll step it up. It's too early in the day is the problem. I'm usually exhausted by the time I get here. So I know.
It's too early.
It should be like 8:30 at night. So.
Yeah, and then you can't play your complex game either. It's a very small window. All right, my number 35 is a game that I played just last week. And you know how I say I like to do theme things?
Okay.
We watched the movie Oppenheimer. And then after we watched it, I was like, Lee, let's go play Manhattan Project.
Oh.
And my number 35 is Manhattan Project. And because this is the story about how they created the atomic bomb, like the movie was. And now with this one, and I have an expansion with it that I hadn't played, but the expansion all has the characters from the movie. And it's like, oh, look, there's this guy. Oh, look, there's this guy. So it is so satisfying when you see that. And you're like, I love doing theme things like that.
Sure.
But so with this one, we're rushing, trying to be the first one to create these bombs and have them ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what this whole thing was about. Like the American was trying to get an atomic bomb done and ready before the Russian did to get the upper hand in this war. To kind of be, it's like, look, we're going to be a big threat in this war, so let's end it because it's not worth it for you, kind of thing, right? So you got to make yellow cake, and then when you get your yellow cake, you can convert it into what is it? Kind of plutonium or uranium.
Oh.
So, and then based on that, you can make plutonium bombs or you can make uranium bombs. So you need to get your scientists, you need to get your engineer, and you need to get your laborers. And then you can get buildings that will train two laborers to create an engineer or to create a scientist. And an engineer and scientist has to be the ones that works together and goes on this space to be able to create the bomb. And then you have the bomb, the blueprint of the bomb, but you need to get the material to be able to do it. So you need 5 plutoniums or whatever. And then so you need to create the plutonium in order to be able to get your bomb done. And then you get your bomb. And then that's great. Now, if you arm it, it's worth 5 more points. So then you have to go and spend this much to arm it. Now you can also load it onto a plane so it's ready to go. And then that gives you more, it's like, so there's all of these different things. This is a worker placement. So you have your workers. And then what's interesting as well is you can also go up in the spy track because there was a spy within that. Because in the movie, like if you watch the movie, they've created a city just of these people working on this and kind of kept them completely secluded from the outside world to keep this. But there was a spy in there, right? And so if you go up on the spy, what this allows you to do is you can use, depending on how high you are, if you're at the 1, you can use one of your workers on somebody else's buildings they've acquired.
Oh.
So I'm going to go ahead and use your warehouse and create the 3 yellow cakes. Now it's like, frick, you're blocking my building.
Yeah.
And you can use bombers, and we almost never do this, but you have your bombers and your fighter planes, and you can use them to destroy the other players or damage the other players' building so that they can't use it.
Yeah.
Trying to get the upper hand so you can get stuff done faster and sooner. And like it was interesting. And then the top corner is an ashtray, and then you put some of the stuff you gotta like bribe, and you put that in the ashtray. And if you build one of the first 2 buildings, you get to collect, or the first building you get to collect what's in the ashtray as well. And I was like, okay, I don't know about the ashtray, but in the movie they smoke nonstop.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. So
Sure.
I see why I would have an ashtray in there now, right? But it was so cool. Now I think they have Manhattan Project, the Energy Empire, and I think that one is more popular, but I've never played it. So I don't know how it compares. I just know that this one is amazing. And then the artwork is so funny because they're like little stick figures almost. It's like a little circle with a body, and that's your laborer. But if it has a hard hat, now it's your engineer. But if it has glasses, it's your scientist, right? Like the artwork is super cute, super sweet for how dark a theme this is.
Yeah.
But you're trying to be the first one to get to 70 points in a 2-player game. And then your bombs are worth so much. But then if you explode one, if you test one to explode the plutonium bombs, because now you've proven they work, because this whole thing, it's like it's all theoretical, like theoretical. Like we're going based on formulas. Nobody's built this bomb. Does it even work? Yeah. So to do a test and confirm that yes, this bomb works and it's going to do a shitload of damage, then you gain, like, your plutonium bomb kind of double the score.
Sure.
So you build a bomb and you give it up. But then all the other plutonium bomb you build after that's going to be worth more. So I did that early on. Lee was like, I don't want to give it up. So he was kind of going a separate route, because I went all through the trouble of building that bomb, and it just kind of give it away. But then any future bomb would be worth more. But then it's a lot to get all that material kind of created and then converted so that you.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot about this game. It's just not a theme that interests me. Like, I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. I don't know.
I mean, like, it's such a bad theme.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a great theme for the game.
Oh, it's so thematic, but and it works so well for what it is. But it feels wrong that you're having so much fun making atomic bombs.
It's too real life dark for me.
A little bit
is maybe what my problem, because I don't know. Like, even if you were like, come on, let's play it right now, I think I'd pass.
It's a really good game. Yeah, you got to get past that whole, and that's what the movie was a lot about. Like, because he built all of this, and he's like, okay, well, let's make this kind of bomb that's going to be even more deadly. And he's like, okay, like, careful what we're unleashing here, right? Careful what we're unleashing. And so there's that morality thing that, I mean, in this game is so cutesy, you almost don't even think about it. But you should it's bad that we've made this cutesy, fun little game about making bombs, right? Yeah. So
no, I mean it's great.
Yeah,
and like if you're into history at all, like, this was a big part of military history. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like, it's gonna really call out to 50% of the board game population. I'm sure they're gonna be like, yes, let's get to it. Just not for me. But that's fine. I'm wrong. It's okay. I've been wrong before.
And you know what? And that's something definitely to be aware of.
Yeah.
Like, this is a dark theme made cute. Yeah. There's also like another one that I've held back playing and owning was the Freedom, the Underground Railroad.
Yeah. See, Freedom, I really want to play it, but again, I don't know.
It just creates it feels wrong to want to play it, right?
Yeah.
I have one here somewhere that's called Tomorrow, and I bought it at an auction. I haven't played it yet, but it comes with like a warning, because that game, what it's about is killing off population so that the overpopulation problem is resolved. Like, it is like,
so that you can
it's like, and you got to create and bomb these areas trying to kill down the population, and I was like, oh my God, what did I get? And I haven't played it yet. But I mean, go with it with the, I guess, awareness that this is what it is.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing.
Conscientious that this is a theme of the game. It doesn't make it okay in real life.
No. And I'd almost like to, like with Freedom, I almost bought it just for my kids to play.
To kind of create awareness.
Like this is a thing that happened. Like this is like people were being sacrificed so that other people could survive. And so this could get through. And it's a dark theme, but it is important to realize that it's a real thing that happened. And I just don't know if I want that in my board game.
You know, and I think it's like with a lot of history, we shouldn't be hiding that it happened.
No, for sure.
You got to be aware.
Yeah, you just can't revel in it. Like,
well, yeah, it's like
yeah, make sure it's aware it happened, because if you forget that it happened, it's
you're
going to
never
happen
do it
again.
again. Yeah.
So, but yeah, there you go. There's some.
This got deep.
Wow.
But I mean, like, but it is present. It's things that are out there and you're aware of, and I think we need to be conscientious of it. Absolutely. So yeah, Manhattan Project, be aware. It might not be for you if this is something that, but gameplay wise, it's really good. Yeah,
if it had some other theme, I would probably love it. And be all over it. So, but yeah, you're number 35, Manhattan Project.
Yes. What does that say about me?
There's nothing right. I'm in the minority, I'm sure. So
yeah.
So it's all good. Okay, so we're on to number 34. On a much brighter, mine is about guillotines. No, it's really no.
I have that one too.
Oh, is that a game? Guillotine? There you go.
Yes. Oh my God.
So no. So mine is a game that I've played a handful of times, and I've bought every single expansion for it. And I haven't even opened most of them. And I don't intend on opening them for probably a decade.
Okay.
So this is a game that I bought to be like my legacy game that I can play down the road.
In retirement?
It'll be one of the games I'll just keep around and just play the ever-living heck out of it, because I enjoyed what little of it I played. And I really enjoyed the theme.
Okay.
And that's Marvel Champions.
Oh, yeah.
So Marvel Champions is a deck construction game.
Yeah.
So you pre-build your deck and you get to choose your superhero that you want to be. So I might want to be Spider-Man. So I'm going to take the 10 Spider-Man cards out of the deck, and there's going to be one that's like a negative thing. Like, I don't know what Spider-Man's is specifically, but he might have to work or something like that. So he's got to put that card into the villain deck. And then you're also going to have I don't know if it's called a nemesis or not, but it's the one person. So like for Spider-Man, it's probably the Vulture or something like that, where it's a not as big of a villain, but he goes into the villain deck as well. And then same with any of yours get thrown in there. And then your own personal deck, you're going to add some either like a strength cards or leadership cards. There's a few other defender or something like that. And you just create a little deck of, say, 20 cards or so.
Yeah.
And you're just playing through fighting. It's just like any of those other draw a couple cards. You're going to fight the bad guy. The bad guys, there's so many of them now with all the expansions. So I'm actually just waiting for somebody online to just create a big campaign. And it's probably already there, where you can just play through as a character or a couple of characters and go through all the scenarios in order. But one of the really, really neat things about this that made it different from some of the other, like the Star Wars deck building games and stuff like that, or card crafting games, or like a Legendary or something like that, because this is often compared to Marvel Legendary.
Okay, yeah.
Is that these ones, you have an alter ego.
Okay.
So when you're fighting the bad guy, he's going to hurt you. And if you don't heal yourself, he's just going to be able to kick your butt. So what you can do is you can choose to go and flip your card over.
Yes,
so the Spider-Man
that's
card.
Right.
So you flip it over to Peter Parker. So now Peter Parker is not going to go fight the Rhino.
Yeah.
But he might be able to do some scientific stuff that will boost some things. And then he can also recover. So he can heal 3 hit points or something like that while he's just Peter Parker hanging out. But while he's doing that, the villains are trying to win by one of two ways. Well, I think they're just trying to win one way, but if you die, I'm sure you lose. But they're also trying to complete their master plan.
Yeah.
So they're just putting tokens as they work on it onto this scheme. And once the scheme gets completed, it gets flipped over, something happens, and there's another scheme they have to complete. And then I think after the second one, they just win. So you have to make sure that you control that too. Like, yeah, you got to go heal, but when you get back, you might be able to. So on your character, you have 3 different stats. So thwart, attack, and defend. So you can tap yourself, or I don't know if you're allowed to use the term tap or not, but you can exhaust yourself to defend if you want.
Right.
Or you can exhaust yourself to try to thwart. So thwarting, some characters are going to be better at thwarting. So they'll be able to take 2 of those tokens off of the bad guy's scheme to slow them down. And then hopefully one of your other guys can wail on them a little bit. And yeah, it's such a clever design. And I really, really like the first, I think I've actually only played it 3 times maybe. And I was just so enthralled by it that I thought, you know what, this is something that I'm not going to lose passion for.
No.
And so I'm going to just make sure I have all of it. I'm going to put it in a box. I'm going to tuck it on a bottom shelf. Every time a new expansion comes in, I'm throwing it in there. And this is the game that when I get rid of 95% of my collection, it's just going to stay in my collection. It'll be pretty big. It'll be half the size of my collection anyways with all the expansions. But it'll be a game that I think I'll be able to just play over and over and over again.
Yeah, nice.
So,
because I played this one for the first time a couple of weeks ago with Keith and Lyle at the Acme Legion game day. Keith had brought his copy. I was Captain America.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, you could go between being Captain America or
Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers. Yeah, I couldn't remember his first name.
That's
Rogers.
okay. I'm a nerd.
But then once you're Steve Rogers, you can go to the apartment and heal. And, you know, there's different things. But then when you're Steve Rogers, you also don't attract the monster or the bad guys to attack you because they don't know you're Captain America until you're back into Captain America. And then if your shield was in the hand, then you could kind of like use the shield to deflect some stuff that could be coming towards you. And like it was really neat in how each character kind of played thematically to its character.
Oh yeah.
It was neat. Now we didn't have the mat. And so I don't think that comes necessarily with the game.
No, I don't think
like you just have it on the table, but I thought this was a good picture. It looked good.
Yeah. No.
And it's kind of a good explanation of everything. But yeah, it was neat. And then you bring in allies. And then, you know, like I had stuff in place that I was like, okay, well, this one could take the hit instead of me. And that, you know, like, so I see the similarities to Legendary as well. I think Legendary might be simpler to play a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, great game. It was neat.
Yeah, and one of the things too that like really just, and I haven't used the character yet, but I opened up, I think it was the Wasp.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the way the Wasp works is she can be, what was it? There was something about folding the card in half. So it's a mini-sized card.
The Hulk was like that too.
Oh, the Hulk did it too?
He like,
Hulk? I think like
no, it was Ant-Man.
Or Ant-Man could become big, I think.
He could go big, or he could go small. Or it was cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like stuff like that. Like I know the Transformers card game did something similar to that, where you could like transform into card. And as soon as I saw that in this, I was like, oh, that's just wonderful.
It's so cool.
Thematic. And
yeah, because Keith was playing as Ant-Man, and then he was all of a sudden he was like, turn his card and flip, and he's this big card, and I was like, okay, it was so cool.
Totally. Yeah. I love it. It's such a clever game. I don't know. It's just so good, so good. Play it for sure. Mm-hmm. And I do prefer it over Legendary, even though I love the Legendary system.
Yeah,
I think I prefer this Marvel themed game more. It's not my highest Marvel themed game. No, but
it's up there.
It's way up there.
It's like at number 34.
My number 34. Marvel Champions, the card game.
Well, my number 34 goes from like my number 35 was like this, you know, dark. Yeah. And now we're going the extreme opposite. And my number 34 is Dixit.
Oh.
So first time I played Dixit, I was so like, it was just so good. It was just such a game that's like, it just sparks joy. Like it's just a neat game. You have all these cards that have these ridiculous bright artwork on it. That's just make things that don't really make sense. There's a ladder and a sand timer, or, you know, there's a clock that's melting, or it's just that type of artwork that can be
Yeah.
seen in different ways. And the way that it works is you're going to have your hand a card and you're going to pick one and you're going to come up with a description of some sort with it. And you could be like feeling lonely. And then you would put the card down and everybody else is going to look in their hand and decide, well, do I have a card that would fit that kind of description of feeling lonely? And maybe you really don't. I'm like, okay, well, I'm putting that doesn't fit. But maybe you really do.
Yeah.
And maybe you do way more than mine did as well, because I don't know what your cards are.
Sure.
So everybody puts their card in, you shuffle those and you put them all face up. And then everybody except for the active player will go through their tiles of 1 to however many number of players. And they'd be like, okay, well, I think card number 3 is what Melanie said. So they'll put the number 3 face down. And once everybody picked, you reveal. Now, as the active player, I want some people to guess my card.
Sure.
But I don't want everybody to guess my card. Because if everybody guessed my card, everybody else gets a point. I don't.
Sure.
If nobody guessed my card because I was so far-fetched, then everybody gets a point and I don't. But if some people did and some people don't, I get a point or I get some points. And then whoever guessed correctly get points as well. But then whoever had their card guessed gets bonus points also.
Nice.
So, and in my family, like me and Patrick love this game. Lee and Lily hates it. Like, and it's just one opposite. Like, and I think it's just the abstract thinking that they just don't like. Maybe they're just too logical for this type of whimsical game.
Yeah.
But I love it. I think it's so amazing. It's so satisfying to look at. And I played it last time I had like a game group with some of the local girls and their kids. And it was a hit. And then I brought it to the first Acme game day and it got played like 3-4 times that day. So it's so good. And this is one, like, I don't like to get expansions very much. Oh. But this one, it just gives you more. Because in a game of Dixit with a base game, you will see every card.
Yeah.
Then you're going to play it again and you will see every card. And you can play that way. That's fine. But it's nice. I bought Journey secondhand, Dixit Journey, and then I just shuffled them together. So now I have twice the amount of cards.
Well, and I feel like there's probably, 10 expansions for this?
There's a lot of expansion. Now, with expansion sometimes too, is Dixit is probably like a $50 game maybe?
Oh, maybe.
Right? An expansion is $35, $40. So you're taking this $50 game into like a $95 game. And is Dixit a $95 game?
I feel like this is one that I've never played Dixit and I've never owned Dixit. No, but I've played games similar to Dixit.
Right. Yeah, because I've played some with you.
So the thing that I really like about this is it does come up on the secondhand market.
Yes.
And then you can use the cards from this. And you could put them into Mysterium.
Yeah.
Or I can't remember what the one that
Obscurium.
Obscurio. Yes, Obscurio. We played Obscurio. It was great. I mean, I got shelled again like I usually do. But
cards would work.
It was great. You could use the cards in the same and like I just love the fact that if you got a little sick of Mysterium or a little sick of Obscurio, you could just pick up a Dixit expansion pack and throw it in there.
Yeah.
Like they can be used for so many different things and so many different games.
But I think it is worth getting expansion on this one. It makes this game very expensive. Yeah, if you play it all the time, great. If your family is half will play, half will not, maybe don't, But I'm like secondhand Journey, so thrilled I found that one. It's all like and then I feel like it's enough. Like we will not see every card when we play.
Yeah.
So it'll have a bit more variety to it, but it's one that goes over well. It's just such a great game.
No, I agree. Like having never played it, like it's not because I didn't want to. I just have never played it. Like it's just one of those ones that I've missed, and not because I didn't want to. Like I would play it for sure. And I mean, I like artwork too. I like the neat things, and I like maybe the reason that I'm not great at like Obscurio and stuff like that is I really go obscure. Like I try to
So what does he talk about? I don't know.
Yeah, no. What do you mean? Well, that guy has that thing on his button, remember? But yeah, no, this is a really, really solid pick. And I think everybody should play this one for sure.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's your number 34.
My number 34, Dixit.
Dixit. along with all the expansions. Now, could you play just an expansion by itself?
Depends. Some expansions are standalone, like Journey is. Some expansions are just extra cards, so then you couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I feel like even if you had enough of the extra cards, you could probably...
Like you could, like you just wouldn't have the tracker and you wouldn't have the tokens to pick the number.
Sure, but you could just use
a piece of paper, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So yeah, even if you just find a used copy.
If you find a used copy and just an expansion, pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make
that.
I
feel like this is one that you would find in the thrift stores potentially too.
Oh, not very much.
So.
I don't think people sell this copy very much, because it's so good.
Perfect. Well, yeah. So that's number 34 is done.
Number 33 now.
Number 33. So my number 33 is not a game specifically.
Oh, yes.
It is a
series.
System.
Yeah.
Where there's a whole bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
And in my house during the lockdown and stuff like that, this was great because we would just grab a copy of it, go sit out in the backyard and pull this out and fight through it and try to figure out all the problems and solve the mystery so we could unlock and get out.
Oh my God, the first pun!
It was terrible. It wasn't even, I was thinking just awful. So I'll do better, guys. I'll do better. But yeah, this is the unlock system. So we've played through probably, I would say 21 of them probably now.
Yeah.
We've got a handful. It came out with board game ones now. So there's a Pandemic Ticket to Ride. And,
no fun.
Yeah, and Mysterium, I think, is the other one. So
I want that.
So we haven't played through it. Maybe I'll bring that to one of the game days and we can play through it. So what it is you're going to start with a card on the table. And the card's going to have some numbers on it that'll let you flip over other cards. And there might be a puzzle on one of those other cards where you have to connect a key from this card and a lock from this card. You add those numbers together, you look through your deck of cards. If that number's there, you unlock the lock. So you flip it over and you can pick the wrong thing sometimes.
Yeah.
Like there might be a
penalty.
wire in that lock and you think, well, I'll just pick it with a lock. No, you're not skilled enough. So you add those two numbers together, flip it over, and it's a penalty and you lose a minute of time because this is an app-assisted game.
Yes.
So you do need the app for it.
Yeah.
Especially some of the later ones. There were some really, really clever things that they do.
It's amazing what they come up with.
But yeah, so you've got, I think it's an hour is pretty standard for, you've got 60 minutes to be able to get all the way from the beginning to the end. And first one we ever played was Squeak and Sausage.
Oh,
so
fun,
that one's got like a nice, and it's cutesy and you're just a mouse trying to escape the laboratory or whatever. And but yeah, it's just one of those escape room games. Not just, it's an escape room game. And one of the things that the thing that probably elevates this over like an exit for me is when I'm done with this, I can give it to Mel.
Yeah.
And she can play it. When I'm done my exit game, it's garbage.
Destroyed.
So,
which is also satisfying in its own way.
Sure.
But yes.
But it is hard, like as a gamer, like the first time I played a legacy game and I had to tear a card, I was like, yeah, I don't think I can do it. And then playing an exit game or two. Yeah, they're so good. And they keep just pumping them out, and they're in big 3-packs. So you get 3 of them, and they usually you can find somebody on a used market and say, "Hey, I've got this one. Do you have any that I haven't
wants
played?"
to trade? Yeah,
and you can just trade them, and maybe not as great for the publishers and stuff like that because they don't make as much. Well, as the
and
exit,
then obviously they know they got into that.
It was a choice.
It that way. Yeah,
and they're out there. They sell. You don't see them sitting on the shelves very often. So,
they're so satisfying to play.
Oh, they are.
And in the picture, look as much as you want. That's a tutorial, so we're not giving away anything.
Yeah, there's nothing.
But each game has a tutorial in it to teach you how to play and how to use the system.
Yep.
But there's all the different themes that you can play, and there's all the different difficulty levels that you can. I love this series. I didn't put any of them just because they're one and done. Yeah. So I didn't put any of them, but oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, they're so good. There's little hidden numbers and stuff that you have to find, and just some of that. I want to spoil stuff so bad because there's stuff like the first one that we did. It wasn't just what you would have expected. You had to think of something totally outside of the box to be able to do anything, to be able to solve it. And some of them have noise aspects to it with the app.
Because they've made, made all, the first type of that series I played was Escape Room the game. And it comes with a bomb that has a countdown and bunch of plastic keys, and each puzzle will give you like a key type combination, so either numbers or shapes or something. Then you got to put those keys in the slots and push down, and then you get to the next round. If you put the wrong key combination, you lose time. But you have this ticking time bomb on the table, and your heart's beat. One of them we beat with 2 seconds to spare.
Oh, wow.
Like it was 0002. Like it was, oh my God. Like, and I played these ones lots with my sister. And yeah, like it was like we played that one. There was three one in that series, and we played it on New Year's Eve. And it was a good thing it was New Year's Eve because it brought us to drink. Like it's like the stress level
the stress
of it.
You needed a couple.
Oh my God. But it's so good. And then the exit games, which the puzzles you got to come up with. And sometimes it's like dexterity puzzle and you got to rip and physically figure something out. And the game gets destroyed, but it is so satisfying to go through.
Well, and the exits did the advent calendars as well, which I have one. I haven't been able to get through it. I've had it 2 years now, and I just haven't gotten to it.
And
but so they're all good. Like all the escapes are good. I like the unlock specifically better
because you can
because it's reusable and it's a little bit more forgiving too. Like I like when your time runs out, you're not done.
For
you
sure.
can keep going and you can still get a score based on how many stars you did. You lost, but you still. And now they have the Echoes that came out, which is sound based. I have one. I haven't played it yet. I haven't done any of them yet. Like I have one that's over there. I got it for Christmas. So yes, I haven't tried them. But that whole thing, like, and I did the unlock Star Wars. And that one was interesting because I think they made it more attainable. Because the Star Wars is going to appeal to a wider audience, no matter if they're gamers or not. So they've made it where you had your Star Wars, you had your hints you could go to, but they always almost had like a playthrough you could rely on if you needed, just in case you weren't as familiar with them. You know, to kind of make it more attainable. And I thought that was an interesting. Most of them are like there's any of the 1 or 2 difficulty ones are pretty.
No, it's not
pretty
bad.
Attainable, but there are some like the level 3 ones. Like we had one that it took us probably 2 hours to get through.
I have the Wizard of Oz. I like the Wizard of Oz. That's a 3 out of 3 difficulty. So I haven't done it yet. But I'm like, oh my God.
Well, the nice thing is like you don't need to know anything about Wizard of Oz to be able to play through it. Like I played through it and I know all little secrets and stuff like that. And I didn't need to have any knowledge of Wizard of Oz to be able to play it. It adds a little bit to it. Same with Star Wars. You probably don't need to know anything about Star Wars. But the completed ones I had with Unlock, I donated to my local library. Perfect. Because it's perfect for that. And then, once you've done it, you're done. But then it can be used again and again and again with other new, fresh audience. If you're like me and your memory's really, really bad, next year I could probably do them all again as if they were new. We've played Squeak and Saucers 3 times now, and I still couldn't tell you how it goes. So, but I mean, so all the escape room games, you could clump into this, but I preferred the Unlock the best. So that's my number 33, the Unlock system. Nice. That was one that we had given my mom as a Mother's Day gift. But as that's fine. Shoot. So it was as a mother-daughter night. Okay. And then me and my sister kind of gifted her this as okay, pick a night, we're coming over, we're doing it. And it was so fun because you get into it and then we're French Canadians, so we get loud. And then it was like at times coming down and she's screaming out loud. It was like, stop, I need to freaking like the anxiety that it creates is just so amazing and lovely. Well, and that's one of the my wife won't do these with us because she doesn't like that anxiety. She doesn't like the stress of it. I love it. I love it. It's just the kids and I who do them, but so my number 33 surprise is Raw. What? Sorry, guys. And this is not the copy I have. I have the original. This is a newer one, and it is bright and shiny and clunky. But my copy is just as equally beautiful as well. Like I find it was really nice as well. It's more beige, like a kind of more subdued, but it is great. And it's such an interesting game because you have these big tokens that have numbers on it, and you're going to bid. You're going to use them to bid when you decide you want to end, because you're adding one tile at a time, and at one point you can be like, okay, stop, I want these. So then you bid,
and you would bid with one of your clunky token.
Okay.
And then other people can outbid with you with the clunky tokens or whatever. But when you do that, you place the token and you take the one that's there. So like, as you end up with lower numbers, you're going to have less power in your bids.
Sure.
Right? But if you put a really big number, the next one that they're going to bid on, they get that token, like, because it kind of swaps out. So then they're going to get that nice big number you had as well. Like, it has that interesting thing going on with the bidding aspect of it. You can kind of get where you push your luck and then be like, where it could hurt. But then it's a tile, or it's like a resort or set collection. So you have the Nile River that you'll be building up, and that's great. And you're building these tiles, and it doesn't do you any good unless you have like the entry river tile. You need that one.
Oh, sure.
Right? So you can score the rest of it. And there's some where the different variety that you have, the more variety, the more it's gonna score. And like, there's all these different aspects, and then like kind of based on what's coming out, oh, that would work really good. Oh, but it would work really good for her, so I can't let her have it. You know, like, so it was such a neat, it was fairly straightforward mechanism, but it was clever. The whole way that this game came together was so clever. Like, as I said, my copy is not as clunky and it's not as bright, but I still really love the original one.
Sure.
And then it has a whole bag that you pull the tiles out of. Like, the new one is, oh my God, this bag is unreal. But my bag is fine, you know, so.
Fine.
It's like, the original game is a great game. This one, they just give it such a nice, like, visual appeal, but the gameplay is just so good. It's just like the whole thing going on, it's just such a uniqueness to it that it's great.
So this is one I've never played.
Oh, I think it's one you would like.
Yeah, everybody tells me this is a game you have to play. You have to play it. So I'm really excited to play it at some point in time.
I'll bring a Melcon.
Do it. I think your Melcon's already booked up now with like 9 games that we're playing. So sorry, everybody else. I'm monopolizing Melcon. But it's one that I've heard about because it's a fairly old game too.
Yeah, well, it was published in 1999.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's not even as old as I thought, but
it was 25 years old.
But still 25 years old. Yeah. Like, and it's like I like auction type of stuff. I like that press your luck kind of stuff. And I mean it looks good. It looks nice. I don't know. I would like to play it for sure.
Yeah, so I think you'll like it.
So it's one that I'm sure will be on my list.
If you played it,
as soon as I play it. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is my number 33, Raw.
Raw. Sis boom ba. Sorry. There you go. I'm getting a little tired now, so it's get a little snarky or smart alecky. There you go. Okay, so my number 32.
32.
My number 32 is probably the most thematic game on my list.
Oh my.
It is so very thematic. It is themed around the circus.
Oh, I think I know.
I might be a little sarcastic.
Is this a crossover?
It's a crossover. This is Scout.
Nice.
So Scout I was introduced to by Cherry. As everybody said, oh, this is her favorite game, you have to play it. And I see why. Yeah. I mean, it's such a cool game. I know you spoke about it already, and I know that the theme is very light on it.
Oh, for sure.
I like that there's a little bit of a theme to it. It doesn't hurt it at all.
The original copy of it was just numbers. Like, it was a theme, but yeah.
It was a little boring. This is a little bit more fun. So just a quick overview. Like, you get dealt a certain number of cards. You pick them up, and they have to stay in that order. You're not allowed to shuffle them around in your hand, but you can flip the whole thing over because, as you can see, the cards are double-sided. So you might have a 5 on one side and a 1 on the other side. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to play sets and runs, and you can only play them in, like your runs have to be in order, your sets have to be together. You can't pull 2 5s out of here and a 5 out of there. They have to be together in your hand to be able to play them. And what you're doing is you're just trying to beat whatever's on the table. So if Mel had played a pair of 5s and I have a pair of 6s, I could play it. Or 3 in a row, I could play that. If I can't beat it, I can do something called scouting. So scouting would be I could take the card from either end of what's on the table. So you can't pull out of the middle, but you can take the stuff out from either end. And when you do, you can put it anywhere in your hand you want.
In any order, too.
In any order. You can flip it over, you can do whatever to it. Put it in there to try to give yourself a nice big run. And if you're able to beat it after that, you could, if you wanted, you have a little car in front of you, you could do a scout and show. So that means you take the card, flip your token over, you get to do it once per round, and then you can play to beat it. If you take a card from a run, the person who had played that run is going to get $1. And if you beat it, you take all the cards that you beat, you flip them over, and they all have a dollar symbol on the back of them. So they're all worth $1. So you're basically just trying to get as much cash as you can by the end of the game. And it ends when either somebody plays their last card. I think everybody else gets one more turn after that. Or if I play a big, like 7-card run and it gets all the way around the table back to me, it's done.
Yeah. So
I'll score a couple of points from the cards that people have to scout, and then that's what it is. And you just play through it a couple of times. It's so clever, so good. I mean, this is a game that my kids will request to play, and my kids don't request to play a lot.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just solid. And I know we went through it quite a bit. Check out the earlier video to get a little bit more in depth with it. But
it's so good.
So solid, so solid. And it's a little tiny, it's a noink game, I think it is. So it's one of those little tiny boxes, stick it in your back pocket and go.
Yeah. Easy to kind of get it around. It's easy to get to the table. So because it's so easy to get to the table, you get it played and it just becomes a favorite.
For sure. And you never play it once. You play it like 3 or 4 times. And this is one like I would have one in my glove box if I had an extra copy, just so if we were ever at a restaurant, I could pull it out. It doesn't take up a lot of the table.
No, because it's all in your hand.
It's all in your hand,
Yeah, it's good.
So I quite like it. It's my number 32.
Great pick.
The Super Circus themed Scout.
I love it. My number 32, actually, this is based on a real person. There was this king who would insist on building these castles in like big castles in impossible locations. And he kind of built a reputation, and they've made a game on it. And
he was kind of a little bit crazy, wasn't he?
He was mad. He was just completely mad. And this is the Castles of Madkin Ludwig. And one thing I'm going to say, first of all, you're going to get this game. You open the box and you have all of these tiles, tons of tiles, and there is no insert at all.
Oh.
My friend, Mike, he's amazing, has a 3D printer, and he made me an insert for it that has like the side of it is all like castle brick
nice
design, and all the things fit in there. And then like, because you have these tiles that you put all the thing, and that's the lid that holds everything together. So it becomes like this 3D printed castle that holds all. It's amazing.
Nice.
It is amazing. If you own this game and you have a 3D printer, then print yourself the insert. And if you don't, then befriend somebody who has a 3D printer and get them to make you the insert, because it's a life changer.
There you go.
But what's so satisfying with this is you'll have all these tiles that have different kind of size, value, or whatever, and then you get turned over. And those are the rooms that you're going to add in your castle. And you're kind of doing the blueprint of your castle. So you'll have these circle rooms, these rectangle rooms, these odd shape. They'll have doorways to them, and you match them up door to door, and you build. And you can see like there's some castles built on the top, and it's like, because you have different goals, and these rooms are going to score depending on what they're touching and what's around it. And if you have a bedroom type room, it doesn't want to be next to entertainment room because it's going to keep them up. So you want those separate. And you can build corridors and stairways that will take you down to the dungeon, or outside into the gardens, but then you can't add on to those because then it's outside, right? So you got to get back into your castle. You get so caught up in the satisfaction of building this thing. So, oh, look, it's going to look so good over there. Just, oh, look at that. That's so cool. And that you forget, like, there's goals you're trying to meet as well. So there's like some, like, if you have a lot of these type of room, then you would benefit from that.
Sure.
And you get bonus points. And there's public goals as well. That's on the main board. But then it also has, you take turn being the active player or the builder. And there's the rooms that's available this round. And you decide the order of the pricing on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, hey, well, he's been collecting a lot of garden, so obviously he wants garden, and there's a garden there. I'm going to put that, not highest price, because maybe you won't get it then, but I'll do it like a second or third highest price.
Because they pay you when
when I'm the builder, right? And then I was like, I really want this one, so maybe I'll put it really low. But then I think, Carla might want that too, so I'll put it more middle. So I'm okay to pay for that, but then if she wants it, she has to pay me all of that, and I'm okay with that as well. So it has that interesting element to it, and then you take turn kind of buying what you want. It's like, darn you, that's too expensive now. It's like, so it's so neat. And then just the fact that you have this castle layout thing built is just so satisfying. And then it looks so amazing. And the fact that I have the little 3D printed castle holding everything together. This game is so good. It is so amazing.
Nice.
I need to get this one played. It's been a while.
So now they made the other one that's like between two castles of Mad King Ludwig, which is like a crossover.
Yeah, because between two cities, it's a complete different feel.
Sure.
So between two cities, me and you are building something here, and me and this person are building something here, and you create a 4x4 grid of tiles.
Yeah.
Between two castles of Mad King Ludwig is the same concept, but we're building a castle, and you have your main floor. Yeah. Then you can build basement. And you can build second, third, fourth level, but it's also you so still building two castles, but it's gonna be all like, it doesn't have the different shape, and it's it doesn't. I love both. Okay. I love both. I will own both forever. Yeah. But the satisfaction of what you built with this one, I think, is better.
Is better, hey? Okay, yeah, because I haven't played any of those.
Oh wow!
So, but this is one that has been. No, I think I just need to start playing some better games, apparently. What's going on? But actually, you know what it is? Like, your games are all really solid games. They don't show up on the used market that much.
They just don't, right?
Them up as much.
No, yeah. So they've just redid this one.
Sure, yeah.
And they've done like a deluxe new print of this, which is out of this world. But I think the price was a little bit out of this world themed? Too. No, still castle theme. But I think there's more like 3D elements or something to it. Nice. Like it's a bigger game. Nice. But it's looked good. It's one that I want to play for sure. So. Yeah.
So that's your number 32.
My number 32, Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Nice. Well, we're on to the last one for this week.
Yeah.
So mine is a game that I honestly didn't think I would ever get to play.
Okay.
And then I was at a convention recently, and I met probably the most uber celebrity person ever. It's just an inside joke. And but this gentleman that I met, I didn't know who he was, and we just started chatting, and I said, "Hey, funny. I'd love to play that one game over there, but it's in Portuguese.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to play it." And he's like, "Well, I actually did a review video on it, so I know how to do it." So I got Uber Celebrity to take me over there and set it up, and we got to play Comic Hunters.
Are you going to say who you played with?
No, because I don't want to name drop them, because it's funnier that way.
Oh my God.
But it's really fun. But anyway, not that he'll ever watch this, but maybe he will. So we'll see. But anyways, this is a game that I guess the copyright rules and stuff like that are different in Brazil. So it's about collecting comic books, and it's about collecting Marvel comic books. So I have a fairly sizable, well, I mean, maybe for me, a fairly sizable Marvel collection, because I like comics and stuff like that. And this is also a drafting game, and I really like drafts as well. Now, luckily, Tom Vassell just announced that they're going to add this to the Dice Tower Essentials line.
Nice.
So it's going to get reprinted, and you're going to be able to buy it. So when it does do it, I don't know if they're going to be able to retain the Marvel licensing. They might have to go with their own kind of superheroes or something like that. Or maybe take, like I thought, like partner with the Sentinels of the Multiverse guys, because they have a fairly substantial group of heroes that are kind of known within the board game community. You could maybe use that theming. But regardless, the game's so solid. It's What it is, it's a drafting game. So you're playing over 3 seasons or 3 years or whatever it is. And what you're doing is in each of those seasons, kind of like in cartographers.
Yeah.
You're going to score basically based on different scenarios. You're going to do something different each time. So the first season, you're going to, so there's 4 different types of drafts. So the first draft is you're going to go to the store and you're going to be able to buy all these brand new comics. So their value isn't very big. They're all valued at 1. So none of the cards are shown, but each of the cards has a comic book cover on.
And it's the actual comic book cover,
actual comic book cover, which is the issue that I didn't think they would ever get it up here. But so at the comic book store, you can buy all the newest comic books. So, and they're legitimate new comic book covers. And what you're trying to do in the first season at the during the comic book store is you're going to deal out 4 cards or however many cards it is. I think it's 4. You're going to take one and you're going to pass it. And then you're going to take one, you're going to pass it. And you're going to take one, you're going to pass it. And you're going to get stuck with the last one. Mm-hmm. So it's just a standard draft. So the second kind of draft is the flea market. So it's more of like a press your luck kind of situation. So you're going to have 4, the number of players in the group. So if you play 4, and you should play 4 because it's graded 4, you're going to have 4 cards set up in 4 different rows. They're just single cards for now. But on your turn, you can either take a row, or you can take the top card from the pile and place it in any one of the 4 rows. So you might want to add another Hulk comic to a previous Hulk comic, or you might see, well, Mel's collecting Hulk. I don't want to put 2 Hulks together because she's going to grab those. So, and you're just going to go until either somebody chooses a row, mm-hmm. or there's 4 cards in that row and you can't add any more to it. And you'll just go until everybody's chosen a row. Okay. And you just add them to your collection. And then the other one in the first season, at least, is the convention. So I'll go over that in a second, but the third different thing you can do is the auction. So the way the auction works is you're going to have some rows of cards. You're going to have 5 cards in the first row, 4 in the second, 4 in the third, and 3 in the fourth. So, and you have these little tickets. So you can see the tickets there in the middle there. Yeah. So you start with 15 of them. Those are each worth a point at the end of the game. Nice. But the only way you can get these cards from the auction is to purchase them with tickets. Oh. So what you can do is you can, as the start player, you can say, we're going to start with the second row of 4 cards. I'm going to bid 1 ticket. Mel can say, well, I'll bid 3 for that.
That's right. Really 3 tickets.
3. And the next person might pick 5. And then when everybody passes, whoever bid it reduces their tickets by that, and they take that row. Okay. And then the next person will go. And you just go until that whole auction is done. And then what you're going to do is, at the end of the season, you get to take all those cards that you've drafted in the 3 previous drafts, and they all have a value on them. So 1, 2, or 3, depending on which type of thing. And then you can purchase them and add them to your collection. So the way you purchase them is you might want to add a couple 3-level cards, but you have to discard 3 or 6 value worth of cards into a discard pile. So you don't actually get those cards. So you have to spend the cards that you've been drafting in order to add other cards that you've been drafting to your collection. Right. And you do that at the end. And then the other thing that you can do is at the end of each of the 3 drafts, so you'll do like 2 of the types of draft, and then a third draft will always be the convention. And the way the convention works is you just have 10 cards from each of the 3 stacks, plus I think any of the discarded cards end up going into that. And you shuffle them up, and then you put them out in like a 5x5 grid, I think it is. Yeah, 5x5 grid. And it works like one of those old slide puzzles that we used to have. Where you like slide a thing over. And what you can do is you can make 1 slide, so you can move a card anywhere within that grid as long as it doesn't go through another card. And then you can take everything of 1 kind of hero. So I could take all of the Black Widow in 1 row or 1 column. That's cool. And then the next person slides, and the next person slides, and you do it. I think it's like a snake draft where everybody gets to do it twice. So whoever goes first also goes last. And if you go fourth, you would go fourth and fifth.
I hope it gets published. I want this one now.
Well, it's going to get published. Like it's in the Dice Tower Essentials line.
Nice.
I just don't know what the theming behind it's going to be. And
honestly, to me, that doesn't matter. The whole different mechanism you're describing sounds so neat.
Yeah, it's wonderful how it works. And then you like, it's all based on set collection and stuff like that in certain comics. So in the picture here, before the game, you have a whole bunch of tokens. You just randomly mix them up and you put one in the top and then you do them. So like in this one, the Iron Man comics are worth more based on how many you have. So if you have 10 of them, it's worth 48 points, or 12 of them, it's worth 48 points, which is crazy. And then at the bottom, the cards will have icons on them for like, whether it's the first printing or a #1 comic in a collection or a crossover comic or a versus comic. So the more of those things you have, the more points you'll score at the end of the game as well. Like it's just, there's so many different little possibilities for scoring. Like we played this I think I played it 5 times.
Nice.
And there was another lady at the convention who every game that I played, she was at the table and she was teaching people outside of it as well. Like it's such a good little game. Now, if it had never been announced as a reprint, I don't know that I would ever own it because I think it goes for like $350.
It's hard to get.
Yeah.
Like it's unreal.
Like you can buy them. You can buy them, but you're going to pay so much for it. So with it coming as a Dice Tower Essential thing, I think it's going to drive the price way down on this copy even too. So
just because some variation will be available.
You'll be able to get it. So but I mean, this is a game that if I played a whole bunch more, it's going to end up way higher on my list.
Nice.
And I think I can teach it to anybody. Like I really do. There might be a couple small nuances that people might not get, but I don't think it's really going to affect the final outcome of the game and people's enjoyment. So
I know it sounds cool. It kind of takes a few elements that I have seen in games and kind of enjoy. And then I was like, oh, okay. Because I mean, comic book, okay. I wasn't a comic book collector, so that doesn't really matter one way or another to me, but the way you're describing it, the gameplay sounds so good.
It's so like you could realistically theme it with whatever you want, like flowers or
stamp collecting
or whatever. I mean,
but the
Marvel definitely drew me to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever the reprint is, I'm going to buy it. Like I don't care what the theme is. Like if it's Sentinels, which I don't have any attachment to the Sentinel characters, but if they were to do that, I would buy it for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good, tight little game. Yeah. And it gives you, it's like 4 little mini games in each game.
Yeah. That's what I like. There's a variation to it. Sounds so cool.
So good. So good. So that's my number 31.
Nice.
Comic Hunters.
That's a good one to end this one on for sure.
Yeah. I want to go play it right now, but I don't have a copy of it.
Because nobody does.
No, but I was gonna make a copy about it, and then Sam Healy made fun of me on your podcast saying, "Well, it'll be made out of cardboard and popsicle sticks." Well, I remember that.
That would be unreal. Like, because there's a lot of quantity to it. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But my thought was I could pick like my heroes that I like the most.
Oh, nice.
And then, but
I'll make my own.
I don't have to now. Because they're reprinting it for me. So.
Nice. My number 31 is one that I like it because it's an easy one to get people to play. The gameplay is really neat. It's a deck building co-op game. But the IP is a really wide known one that there's a big following for it. That's Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I've actually seen this exact game, as Toy Stories.
Oh, really?
So they've reskinned it as Toy Stories. I think it might have been reskinned under something else as well. But like Harry Potter, for me, that was big hit. And, you get the Potterheads that'll just, So, but it's just so neat. So you play as one of the characters and you have a couple of cards that'll be specific to you. So if you're Harry Potter, you have the invisibility cloak.
Yeah.
And if you get attacked, but it's in your hand, they don't hit you because you've made yourself invisible. It'll have that different thing. And each character will have like that one card that's specific to them. And then you'll have the different kind of market card that you can purchase. Then you have the villain cards that you're trying to defeat. And you can do attacks on them, and then you'll add kind of damage token to them. And you're trying to, like, in you're battling against the game. But then if they reach certain things, like they move forward on the location track, and if they get all the way, and then this tracker thing is like this really cool metal skull kind of disc thing, and there's like the only one that's but it's so cool. And that's the track, and then if they ever reach that third location, they've kind of overwhelmed you in one. But it's, you start with the first book, right? Like story 1, so you pull out this and you open that box, and then that's the cards you have available to you. And then you go into the second one and you open that box and you get more cards and more villains. And then the game changes slightly as you play. And eventually you get dice that you can roll to activate different things. And then you get more bad guys at once. Like in the first one, you just got the one guy you got to defeat. You have Malfoy, and then you'll have his
henchmen.
His henchmen, and then eventually you need to go for that one teacher. So it kind of matches the story in the movies as well, but it's really cool. And it's, I don't know, the whole thing. And then you can help each other because it is co-op. So, okay, well, I'm going to heal you because you will get stunned. You don't die, you get stunned, but then that sucks because you lose like a location and you become full health again. But it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost, and you're trying to avoid that if you can. Is that, okay, well, I'm going to do this potion that heals, but I'm giving that to you. So you take that, and then so you are working together, but as the game progresses, and then it becomes deeper and harder and more satisfying. And I would be really interested to see the Toy Story theme of this as well. But it is so neat. It is so satisfying. I have an expansion on this one, the
Monsters one or whatever.
Yeah, and I haven't played it
Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, and I haven't played it because every time I play this game, it's been with new people. It's like, okay, well, let's start it with the book one. Right? So I've gone book 1 to 3 tons, right? Have
you ever made it to book 7?
I have.
Oh, okay.
But a couple of times, right?
I thought you hated campaign games.
Well, this one you could go and right away play book 7.
Or you can just pick them out.
You don't have to do them in order. You will first time, but then, even though that I have done books for 1, you can play book 1 again and again and again and again if you want. You could just be, okay, let's do the 3 because that's cool. I'll go all the way to the 4th. That introduces the dice, I think it's 4.
But you have to start at 1, or could you just step in and play 5 if you want?
Step in and play everything. The only thing is each box will have a card that teaches you the new stuff that got added.
So you might need
So if it's your first time playing yourself, it makes sense to do gradual. But if you got somebody who's played it before that can teach you, it's like, okay, let's play with everything.
Nice.
And you could. So it's it's more scenario than campaign based, right?
Sure.
And that's what I like about that. You could just jump in at any level that you want and then but every round you kind of have that bad thing that happens and you flip that over and it's like, oh no, it's like you never know what's gonna come up. And there's just as you progress and you play the next level, there's just more stuff that gets shuffled in there, and then it just becomes meaner and harder. And I love it. It is so good. Oh my God, it is so good.
So I ended up buying this, and my son and I played through the first 2 scenarios, and it just didn't quite catch him.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a Harry Potter fan. He'd read all the books, and I was digging the game, and I was in, but he bailed. So I was like, well, if he's not going to play it, there's so many other games to play.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe I'll just
not going to force somebody into it, but yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be great. I think it's probably... I don't know, but I think I would enjoy the Harry Potter theme more than the Toy Story theme, even though the movies are great.
I think so too.
But I feel like you could do this with almost anything. You could throw anything that's a bunch of book series. You could do a Dresden Files version of it.
Twilight.
Or a Wheel of Time. You could do
Wheel of Time would be great, yeah. So definitely, it's the mechanism works great. The Harry Potter theme is just because they've picked the Harry Potter theme, and it works great because you've got that different kind of progression to it.
Yeah. Well, and that's good when the scenario, because you would play vanilla, whatever this game is, without a theme, and it would be good.
Yep.
And then slap the Harry Potter theme on it. It just makes it great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, that's what you want in a game, right? You want a game that you can play without the theme, but the theme just really brings it to life.
Brings it up.
Adds that extra.
Yeah.
And I mean, who really, like, I know lots of people are like, yeah, Harry Potter's garbage, but let's be honest, we all love Harry Potter at least a little bit. So, I mean,
I've read all the books. I've watched all the movies. I want to watch all the movies again. And then you know what? I'm going to watch all the movies again and then play this all over again as well. Because I was like, watch the first book and go play the first box.
But then you'll know all the tricks. Well, I got to have this to be able to do this.
But then it just,
you almost got to play the game first.
Too. Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
No, yeah. I agree. I mean, if it wasn't for my son just not being into it, we would have played through all of it so many times, I'm sure. Yeah, great pick. Good way to end this segment.
Yes.
I mean, between Comic Hunters and this.
Well, jeez.
There's probably no better game out there.
Why even bother with the other 9 games we talked about?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I mean, the next 60 games between the two of us, I'm sure they won't be nearly as good.
Oh my God, it's getting so good.
So good.
It's getting so good.
I mean, every one could be my number one, just about. Like Comic Hunters could be my number one.
I thought, I would be, but I guess, yeah. Having it available helps.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? There's so many wonderful games.
Yeah.
Keep tuned in, or however you do it on YouTube, whatever.
Yeah.
Watch them, because they're gonna. I don't know how they can, but they're gonna get better.
That's insane.
So.
Yeah.
Perfect. So that's your number 31.
That is my number 31 and the last one of this installment. Yep. Oof. So thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Make sure to come next week and see even better games. It's hard to believe you're saying, but there's even better out there. Oh, and I joked in the first video that I'm not going to read the comments, but I'm totally reading the comments. So send in some comments. I want you guys to talk to us a little bit. Let me know who's out there watching. Connor came over and he's like, did you see that? I spilled Michelle. Totally. So hopefully I can hang on to you at the end, Michelle. And we'll get out there and we'll play some Fugitive, you and I, at some point in time. Maybe at Malcon. At Malcon. I'll get to meet you at Malcon and we'll play some Fugitive. I'll bring it along. All right. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.